Chapter 200. Takashi lightly smiled and said, "Don't worry, Chief, I'll be right back." Then he followed Tang Zheng to the side of the school building. Tang Zheng stared at him intensely, trying to discern how much of his smile was real and how much was fake. But he always had a smile on his face, making it hard for others to see through him. "He really changed," Tang Zheng said. "Tang Zheng, why are you looking for me?" Takashi asked. Tang Zheng went straight to the point and asked, "Did anything happen after you sent Teacher Lu home last night?" Takashi blankly looked at him. "No, did something happen?" Takashi, there's only the two of us here, so there's no need to pretend. It's not like I don't know how much you hated me in the past." At that time Takashi found people to block Tang Zheng at the school gates and was prepared to teach him a lesson. But he was humiliated by Tang Zheng's pressure point technique. Takashi could not take this lying down. Takashi lightly smiled, "That's all in the past. Now that we've graduated, I feel that those things are insignificant. As for the conflict between you and me, I also feel that it's not a problem. We're classmates, so why don't we look forward?" Takashi's words were very pleasant to hear. But the more he was like this, the more Tang Zheng did not believe him. Suddenly Tang Zheng's eyes turned cold and became incomparably sharp. He grabbed Takashi's collar and pushed him against the wall. He fiercely said, Takashi, don't play tricks with me. Speak, what are you trying to do by putting on such an act?" Takashi lost his head out of fear and shouted, "Tang Zheng, what are you doing? I know you can fight and I'm not your opponent, but is there a need for you to do this to a classmate?" Takashi's shout attracted the attention of many people. Everyone was watching this good show and discussing spiritedly. Tang Zheng's eyes flashed. This Takashi's disguise was really good, but he wasn't going to let him go just like that. He lifted Takashi's body and slammed it against the wall. Takashi screamed, "Tang Zheng, what are you trying to do? What did you do last night?" "I didn't do anything. You keep asking about last night. What happened last night?" Takashi frowned and asked suspiciously. Tang Zheng still couldn't get any useful information from Takashi's expression and words. He couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. This Takashi was far more complicated than he thought. Takashi refused to let go. And looking at his appearance, he really didn't look like a cultivator like Tian Chanzi said. Tang Zheng helplessly put him down and warned, Takashi, no matter what you're planning, I'll keep an eye on you." As he said this, he pointed two fingers at Takashi's eyes. "I'm not afraid of you keeping an eye on me. I'll let you keep an eye on me," Takashi said passionately. Tang Zheng coldly snorted, lifted his foot and walked away. Seeing Tang Zheng finally walk away, Takashi's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent. He coldly muttered, "Last night you ruined my good thing. Lu Qingmei's mysterious Yin body was taken advantage of by you. Wait until I master my divine skill, I'll definitely let you die without a burial." Tang Zheng didn't hear Takashi's murderous words. Otherwise he definitely wouldn't let him go. The trail of the flower thief was cut off just like that. This made Tang Zheng very unwilling. Since the other party was a flower thief, Lu Qingmei certainly wasn't the only target. So he immediately ordered Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix to pay attention to the ordinary balance and other similar cases. He wanted to see if they could find any clues. Then he went to practice spells with Feng Shishir. After spending a lot of effort, he finally learned shrinking earth into an inch. He also made rapid progress in array formation and alchemy, but what made him the happiest was the Heaven-Flying Immortal sword art. The Heaven-Flying Immortal had a total of 6 moves, and each move had 36 styles. When Tang Zheng sat cross-legged and operated the Heaven-Flying Immortal sword art, a miniature version of Tang Zheng appeared in his mind. He practiced the sword moves according to the sword manual. The first move, 36 styles, was instantly mastered, forming a powerful sword move, Wind Rises and Clouds Surge. These 4 words appeared on the sword manual in his mind. Tang Zheng clearly remembered that there were only sword moves in the sword manual in the past. There was no name for the sword move. He didn't expect that after mastering the first move, a name would appear. Tian Chanzi had been silently paying attention to him. Although he didn't move just now, the sword aura emitted from his body made Tian Chanzi's eyes light up. He praised, "Good kid, you've mastered the first move, Wind Rises and Clouds Surge, so quickly." Tang Zheng asked curiously, "When you gave me the sword manual, why didn't the sword move have a name? Now that I've learned it, why did it appear?" Tian Chanzi said unfathomably, "This is the extraordinary part of the Heaven-Flying Immortal. Only by mastering the 36 styles of each move will the name of the sword move appear. Heaven Flying Immortal is set up in this way. You don't have to be surprised. Then what are the names of the next 5 moves? Tang Jing couldn't wait to ask. Tian Chanzi shook his head. Since I told you that you have to master every move to have a name, then of course I won't tell you. This is the charm of the Heaven Flying Immortal. When you haven't learned it, you won't be able to comprehend its subtlety. It's like an adventure that requires you to understand and learn step by step. Tang Jing nodded his head in understanding and didn't ask any more questions. The next day, Tang Jing and Fang Shishir went to school to fill in their application form. However, they were surprised to find that Lu Qingmei was no longer in school. They heard that she had resigned and left Ordinary Balance, which made everyone's jaws drop. Tang Jing was secretly shocked. She must have left Ordinary Balance because of him. He hurriedly dialed her number, but was told that the number was no longer in service. Tang Jing didn't even need to look for her to know that she must have moved. He sighed inwardly. It turned out that the two of them were really like passers-by in each other's lives. They had quietly disappeared from each other's lives. It made one feel lost. All of this was caused by that damned flower thief. When I find him, I'll definitely make him suffer. Tang Jing made up his mind. Today, Fang Shishir was obviously not in a good mood. When she saw Tang Jing fill in the application form for Yenqing University, her eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. However, she also resolutely filled in the application form for Yenqing University. Tang Jing looked at her in surprise. He thought that if she wanted to go abroad, she wouldn't fill in the application form. He didn't expect that she would still stubbornly apply to the same school as him. Tang Jing sighed inwardly. It seemed that he had to find time to communicate with her about studying abroad. The next few days were calm. Tang Jing and Fang Shishir didn't have anything to do other than practicing martial arts. During this time, Deng Maokai invited Tang Jing to a meal. Because of his outstanding performance in the rescue operation of Lu Qingmei, he had been promoted from police chief to deputy chief. Deng Maokai understood that all of this was given to him by Tang Jing. Moreover, Tang Jing was Governor Lu's future son-in-law, so he had to curry favor with him even more. As for the flower thief, Lin, who didn't have any clues. During this period of time, the Ordinary Balance was a bit strange. However, Takashi was very popular during this period of time. He was almost a household name. He accepted many interviews and appeared on television and newspapers. This made Feng Yong gnash his teeth in hatred. Behind his back, he fought for Tang Jing's injustice many times. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang called to congratulate Tang Jing on becoming the top scorer. They also brought him great news about the martial organization. After Marshall returned to the martial organization, she did not wake up. Even the 2 people who sent her back had died from the yin qi entering their bodies. Ding Yi and the rest had also mysteriously disappeared. The people of the martial organization were confused. They wanted to take revenge but could not find a target. This is why Ordinary Balance was so peaceful during this period of time. Tang Jing suddenly realized that Marshall was seriously injured by the Ghost General. She was seriously injured and unconscious. However, if she woke up, the martial organization would know everything. At that time, Tang Jing would be in danger. Therefore, Tang Jing's danger was not really eliminated. But this was enough. He had to take advantage of this period of time to make himself strong enough to deal with the crisis that may come in the future. The sun was shining brightly. Tang Jing and Fang Shishir carried their luggage and said goodbye to Tian Chanzi at the train station. The 2 of them were about to start their long-prepared trip to Dianan. Boy, disciple, be careful on the road. Tian Chanzi warned. Master, you should also be careful. We will miss you. Fang Shishir said with concern. Tian Chanzi laughed. Don't worry, your master has such a high cultivation. No one can hurt me. Moreover, I have a puppet following me. I can basically open my mouth and stretch out my hand. I am incomparably free. Tian Chanzi, this time I don't know what kind of treasure Mu Hongyan's deceased husband left behind. When I see the real thing, I will contact you. Tang Jing said. A mysterious level treasure is also a powerful treasure. Originally, even the Tianji Taoist coveted it. If it is discovered by other cultivators, be careful not to be robbed. Tian Chanzi warned. Don't worry, there are so few cultivators now. We shouldn't encounter it. Tang Jing said unconcernedly. In any case, it's good to be careful. Well, you guys enter the station, I'm leaving. Tian Chanzi waved his hand and disappeared into the crowd with Huang Ziang. Fang Shishir was a little sad. Looking at their departing backs, she said, I don't know when I will see Master again. Tang Jing put his arm around her shoulder and said, Don't worry, we will definitely meet again. This time our main task is to travel. Fang Shishir also smiled and nodded. Yes, Dianan has beautiful mountains and clear waters. The scenery is very beautiful. We must play to our heart's content. The two people passed the security check and boarded the train. This time they bought hard sleeper tickets. They could have bought plane tickets, but Fang Shishir thought that since it was a trip and there was enough time, the train ticket was the best choice. Fang Shishir slept on the lower bunk and Tang Zheng slept on the middle bunk. Tang Zheng had just put the two people's luggage on the luggage rack when a person rushed over and shouted, make way, a beauty is going out, idlers should leave. In the blink of an eye, a beautiful figure rushed in front of Tang Zheng. Her breath was like orchids and she let out a long sigh. I finally found my bed. Then, she handed the luggage to Tang Zheng and said without any hesitation, hey handsome, help me put the luggage of this beauty up. Chapter 201. Tang Zheng curiously looked at the girl who acted as if she was familiar with him. She had a baby face, fair skin, chubby and very cute. She had short hair that reached her ears and was staring at Tang Zheng with her big black eyes. Amazed face, amazed face, handsome, if you look at me like this I will be shy. The baby face said playfully. Her face even blushed as if she was really shy. Tang Zheng felt that he was too abrupt and hurriedly said, I'm sorry. The baby face said seriously, I don't think you are embarrassed at all. You are looking very seriously. Tang Zheng's head trembled and the luggage in his hands almost fell. Why was this baby face so direct? Looking at Tang Zheng's embarrassed state, the baby face made a face and said, see, I hit the nail on the head. Look then look, I won't blame you. Aren't you born to be looked at? Tang Zheng was speechless. Hurry up and put my luggage up. Otherwise your hands will shake again and it will fall. The baby face urged mischievously. Tang Zheng resentfully put the luggage down but heard the baby face exclaim in surprise, wow, there is actually a beauty here. She is really beautiful. The baby face stared at Fang Shishir and said, beauty, you are really beautiful and your skin is so good. Do you have a boyfriend? If you don't, I can introduce you to a few. They are all handsome and rich young men. Fang Shishir didn't know whether to laugh or cry looking at the baby face. The other party's sudden familiarity made her a little uncomfortable. She already has a boyfriend. You don't need to introduce me. Tang Zheng sat beside Fang Shishir and took the opportunity to put his arm around her shoulders and said grandly. The baby face opened her mouth in surprise. Wow, so you are a couple. But you are not as handsome as the handsome guys I mentioned. Tang Zheng couldn't help but roll his eyes. You can't eat handsome. The baby-faced man shook his head in all seriousness. That's not true. Being handsome can make a living. Don't you see so many Xiaobai's faces? Don't they rely on their faces to make a living? Tang Zheng choked for a moment. He really couldn't understand her unconstrained thinking. Fang Shishir smiled and helped her boyfriend out of the situation. I still think he's the best in the world. The baby-faced man couldn't believe it. He glanced at Tang Zheng and said doubtfully, really? Why can't I see his good side? It's very ordinary. Fang Shishir laughed secretly. How could Tang Zheng's excellence be seen by others so casually? I'm just an ordinary person. What's wrong with that? Tang Zheng asked unhappily. The baby-faced man said, there's nothing wrong with it. But it doesn't match with this beauty. It's fine as long as I like it. It's none of other people's business. Fang Shishir tightly held Tang Zheng's hand and helped him out of the situation. The baby-faced man shrugged and said, okay then I won't meddle in other people's business. Tang Zheng said, so you also know that you are meddling in other people's business. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Li Xiaotian. I'm from Beijing. I just finished the college entrance examination and came out to travel alone. The baby-faced man introduced himself as if they were close friends. Li Xiaotian. Your name is quite special. Tang Zheng pondered. Li Xiaotian said as if it was natural, of course it's special. I just want to smile at the heavens and not be afraid of all difficulties and obstacles. Saying this, she looked up at the roof of the car and revealed a domineering smile. Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir looked at each other at the same time. This girl seemed a bit different. Moreover, this name was given by my grandmother. She said that if a woman has to hold up half the sky, then the daughter of the Li family has to hold up half the sky. First of all, a name must have momentum. Do you think this name has momentum? Li Xiaotian stared at the two and asked. Fang Shishir smiled, it does have momentum. I've introduced myself. Then you two should also introduce yourselves. My name is Tang Zheng. This is my girlfriend Fang Shishir. Tang Jing simply introduced himself. Tang Jing, this name is so familiar. I heard that the provincial champion here is called Tang Jing. Li Xiaotian said doubtfully. Tang Jing's heart moved. He had tried to be as low-key as possible, but he did not expect that even this baby-faced girl in the capital had heard of his name. You and the provincial champion have the same name. This is also a great honor. It will also give you a lot of face. Li Xiaotian added. She did not seem to think that the person in front of her was the provincial champion. Tang Jing was relieved. He really did not want to be recognized. Please make way. Suddenly, a man in his 30s carrying a backpack came over and said to Li Xiaotian, who was blocking the aisle. Li Xiaotian looked back at the other person. Her eyes flashed with a trace of imperceptible surprise. She smiled and said, "Wow, this trip is really interesting. It seems that my choice was right." The man looked at her and without a word put his luggage on the middle bunk. Then he took off his shoes and silently climbed onto the middle bunk. "Handsome, why are you so cold? Sitting in the same car is also fate. Come down and chat for a while." Li Xiaotian called out as if they were close friends. The man ignored her and turned around. His back was facing everyone. He did not say a word and seemed to have fallen asleep. Li Xiaotian shrugged and said, "The journey is long. What's the point of just sleeping and not talking? Could it be that you want to sleep well during the day and be a night owl at night?" The man's back muscles instantly tightened and then quickly returned to a relaxed state. This scene was coincidentally seen by Tang Jing, who got up. His heart could not help but tremble. Li Xiaotian's seemingly unintentional words caused this cold man to have such a big reaction. This was an almost instinctive vigilance reaction. This meant that the other person was not an ordinary person. Moreover, Tang Jing also felt a murderous aura from the other person. Although it was well hidden, it still did not escape Tang Jing's fiery eyes. And this Li Xiaotian, who was very familiar with him, gradually gave Tang Jing a strange feeling. Her words were definitely not unintentional but targeted, deliberately said like this. However, no matter what the other person's identity was, Tang Jing was not interested. He just wanted to reach Dianan safely. Sure, you take a nap first. I'll go for a walk." Tang Jing gave Fang Shishir a look and said. Fang Shishir understood and nodded. "Tang Jing, what's there to see on this train?" Li Xiaotian asked. Tang Jing said, "Reading thousands of books, traveling thousands of miles, you can see different stories from different people. I like to see different stories, so while I'm at it, I might be able to see different stories." Haha, so insightful. Amazing. Li Xiaotian smiled and gave a thumbs up. Tang Jing walked through the aisle, but the corner of his eyes kept looking at the other passengers. There was no one worth paying attention to. It seemed that other than the two people opposite him who were a bit strange, the others were normal passengers. Unknowingly, Tang Jing came to the soft sleeper. The soft sleeper was much higher class than the hard sleeper. There was a door to protect a certain amount of privacy. Tang Jing aimlessly walked forward. Suddenly his pupils shrank. He saw a strong man come out of a private room. He quickly closed the door and walked towards the bathroom. Martial artist. Tang Jing immediately recognized the other person's identity. He was a 6th grade refining body martial artist. A martial artist appearing on the train could not help but attract Tang Jing's attention. Thus he waited for a while. The martial artist came out of the bathroom and walked towards the private room. Tang Jing slowly walked towards the other person. He was no different from the other passengers. The moment the martial artist opened the door to the private room, Tang Jing also happened to pass by the door. From the corner of his eyes, he saw that there were 3 people sitting inside. One was an 8th grade martial artist, one was a 6th grade martial artist, and the last was an ordinary middle-aged man. He had a fat head and big ears. With one look he could tell that he was a rich local tyrant. Tang Jing remembered this in his heart. He walked around and made sure that there was no one else worth paying attention to. Then he returned to his seat. Fang Shishir was lying on the bed. Seeing him return, she smiled sweetly. Tang Jing touched her forehead and said in a low voice, "Go to sleep." Fang Shishir closed her eyes and entered her dreams. Tang Jing also went to the middle bunk. Separated by the narrow space in the middle, he sized up the cold man's back. His back was very broad. Tang Jing could imagine the explosive power hidden under the other person's clothes. This is also a martial artist. Moreover, he is an expert. I can't see through his cultivation. This means that he is at least a 1st grade natal stage expert. Tang Jing pondered. With such a strong killing intent, this person must have taken someone's life. The key point was, what was the purpose of this person sitting on this train? Tang Jing was puzzled. His gaze involuntarily fell on Li Xiaoyan's body. She was leaning against the carriage with her headphones on. She seemed to be intoxicated by the music. Her body does not have any fluctuations of inner strength. However, from the information she revealed, she is definitely not an ordinary person. Then why did she appear on this train? One question after another filled Tang Zheng's mind. He did not feel sleepy at all. Instead, he became excited. Li Xiaoyan's words seemed to indicate that something would happen tonight. As night fell, the carriage became quiet. In the middle of the night, the lights in the carriage were extinguished. Everyone fell into darkness. Many people entered their dreams. Only the clanging sound of the wheels and the train tracks was left. Tang Zheng faced the bed. He seemed to be asleep and did not move. After a few hours, when Tang Zheng thought that nothing would happen tonight, a rustling sound came from behind him. The sound was very soft. It was almost negligible compared to the sound of the train. However, Tang Zheng was too close to the source of the sound so he could hear it clearly. The cold man in the middle bunk got off the bed and walked towards the soft sleeper carriage. Tang Zheng was preparing to climb up and chase after him. However, he heard a clear sound from the lower bunk opposite him. Then he followed with light footsteps. Tang Zheng shivered. This Li Xiaotian actually chased after him. Is she not afraid? Who is she? After a long while, Tang Zheng vigilantly got off the bed. After confirming that no one would notice him and that Fang Shishir was sleeping soundly, he stepped on the carpet in the aisle and tiptoed towards the soft sleeper carriage. Chapter 202. In the middle of the night, the carriage was very quiet and everyone fell asleep. Only the end of the carriage had some lights to guide people forward. Translation: Tang Zheng followed the two people from a distance. The cold man walked in front and Li Xiaotian followed unhurriedly, but her route was very interesting. She could completely avoid the attention of the cold man and not be discovered by the other party. Tang Zheng was like a ghost without the slightest sound. Looking at Li Xiaoyan's movements, he immediately frowned. Is she also a martial artist? But she doesn't look like one at all. There are no internal energy fluctuations. Tang Zheng was full of doubts, but he could only follow. After a while, the cold man stopped in front of a soft sleeper box. Tang Zheng's nerves instantly tensed up. The soft sleeper box was the one where the four people lived. Could it be that they are a group? No, the cold man pulled out his weapon. Tang Zheng saw the cold man pull out a very thin soft sword from his waist. Bang! A slight muffled sound was completely covered by the sound of the train. The box door was knocked open by the cold man and a fierce fighting sound was heard. Li Xiaotian quickened her pace and came to the door of the box. Leaning against the door, she watched the fight in the box with interest. After a while, everything returned to calm. So quickly defeated 3 martial artists. This cold man's strength is really high. Tang Zheng's eyes were shining as he watched from a distance. Suddenly, a cold light shot out from the box and went straight to Li Xiaoyan's throat. Li Xiaotian was not scared but giggled and quickly retreated. This cold light was the soft sword in the cold man's hand. The soft sword followed like a shadow and the cold man also jumped out of the box and looked at Li Xiaotian vigilantly. Just now, Li Xiaotian had dodged his fatal strike. This had already made the cold man very surprised. He had no choice but to be on guard. He coldly stared at her and asked, "Who are you?" Li Xiaotian stuck out her tongue. "Why are you so fierce and want to kill me?" "The dignified cold killer Xiao Xiaoling wants to kill a weak woman. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at?" The cold man's pupils suddenly shrank and said, "How do you know me? Oh, you are so famous, how can I not know you? It seems that you have just done another business. The name of the cold-faced killer is really extraordinary. I'm very curious about who you have killed this time," Li Xiaotian said and looked into the box. The 4 people's throats were cut by the sword. They didn't even have much of a chance to resist. Li Xiaotian clapped her hands and said, "It's really an eye-opener. Isn't that dead fatty the lackey of the Long family in Dianan? This time you killed the Long's people. Aren't you afraid of being retaliated by the Longs?" "Well, since you know my name, you should know my rules. I always kill people as long as the customer pays. I don't care about the background of the target," Xiao Xiaoling said. Li Xiaotian gently clapped her hands and said, "It's really professional. Today I have seen it. Well, I'm not interested in your business. After watching the play for a while, I dozed off again. I'm going back to sleep." She yawned and turned away, ignoring the killer behind her. Xiao Xiaoling did not hesitate to stab out with his sword. Tang Zheng looked at this scene and almost shouted out. Was this Li Xiaotian a fool? He actually left his back to the killer. But the next scene made Tang Zheng even more stunned. He saw that the soft sword stabbed Li Xiaoyan's back, but it couldn't pierce in at all. Li Xiaotian looked back at the killer and smiled, saying, "Want to kill me? It seems that this is also your rule. All witnesses must die." Xiao Xiaoling's face suddenly changed. He stared at her back and was horrified. "Are you wearing the heavenly silkworm treasure armor? Oh, you're quite knowledgeable," Li Xiaotian praised. Xiao Xiaoling hesitated for a moment and said, "You and I don't interfere with the river water. Tonight's incident didn't happen." It seemed that he was very afraid of the heavenly silkworm treasure armor. Li Xiaotian laughed and said, "I just came out to get some fresh air. What I saw was just a dream." After saying that, without waiting for the other party to respond, she went straight to the hard sleeper. Xiao Xiaoling followed her step by step. When he reached the toilet door, he suddenly stopped and looked at the toilet coldly. He hit the toilet door hard and opened it. Who is it?" a voice roared. Tang Zheng pretended to be surprised and angry as he stared at the other party, but his heart was beating fast. He clearly saw everything between the two of them. He did not know what the heavenly silkworm treasure armor was, but since it could make the assassin so fearful, it meant that the baby-faced person was definitely not an ordinary person. Furthermore, he was an expert, and to be able to escape Tang Zheng's fiery golden eyes, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Tang Zheng didn't expect that he could foresee these two people when he came out to travel. He was not afraid but a little excited. This was the first time he left the ordinary balance, and he felt that the outside world was very wonderful. When the two came towards him, he hid in the toilet, but he didn't expect to be found by the killer. "Hey, why are you two here? What are you doing so late?" Tang Zheng pulled up the zipper of his pants and asked preemptively. "What are you doing here?" Xiao Xiaoling asked. "Going to the toilet? Didn't you see it? Do you want to go to the toilet too? Why are you in such a hurry to hit the door?" "I'm good, so you can go." Tang Zheng swaggered out. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a smile and asked, "Handsome Tang, do you go so far to the toilet?" Who said no. I almost couldn't hold it. There were people in the toilets of those carriages. It was not easy for me to find this place. Why do people like to go to the toilet in the middle of the night? Tang Zheng complained. Li Xiaotian's big eyes stared straight at Tang Zheng, as if he wanted to distinguish the truth in his words. Tang Zheng caught a glimpse of a conductor coming over and deliberately said loudly, "I'll go back to sleep first." Without waiting for the other party to respond, he quickly walked towards the conductor and disappeared in the corridor. Xiao Xiao coldly snorted, bowed his head and passed by the conductor. On the contrary, Li Xiaotian looked at the night scene outside the window with interest and muttered, "This trip is really getting more and more interesting. A cold-faced killer, a handsome guy, especially this handsome guy is really surprising." Tang Zheng went back to bed and soon heard the other two people coming back. Tang Zheng could clearly feel that the killer's eyes stayed on him for a long time, as if he was thinking about whether to kill Tang Zheng or not. As the sky gradually brightened, a scream suddenly sounded, even covering the sound of the train. Then several policemen and conductors ran quickly to the soft sleeper compartment. Tang Zheng quietly looked at this scene, turned his head to look at the killer, and found that he was also looking at him, with murderous intent bursting out in his eyes. Tang Zheng ignored the other's murderous intent and said to Fang Shishir, who had woken up, "What do you want for breakfast? I'll go to the dining car and buy it for you. Porridge and steamed buns are fine. I'll go wash first." Fang Shishir walked towards the bathroom, but found that the direction of the soft sleeper compartment in the distance was full of people. "Murder. Someone has been killed," a voice shouted. Suddenly the compartment was boiling. Many people wanted to squeeze into the soft sleeper compartment to see what happened, and some people quickly retreated, very scared. The scene was very chaotic. Tang Zheng pulled Fang Shishir back and said, "It seems that we can't eat breakfast now. When the people are gone, let's go to the dining car together." Fang Shishir nodded and asked blankly, "Someone just shouted to kill, what happened?" Tang Zheng shook his head, but did not look at the killer, because he knew that the other must be observing his words and actions, to confirm whether or not he saw the scene last night. Li Xiaotian got up, stretched his waist, rubbed his eyes, yawned and asked, "What happened? Why is it so noisy? Can't people sleep?" Tang Zheng watched her act with interest. If he did not see it with his own eyes last night, he was afraid that he would have been deceived by her. The people outside were really not easy to deal with, so he had to be careful. "Handsome Tang, why are you looking at me so early in the morning? I don't seem to be exposed," Li Xiaotian said with a smile. Fang Shishir stealthily pinched Tang Zheng and said in a low voice, "Don't look around." Tang Zheng bitterly smiled, "I didn't look. He got cleaned up by your girlfriend. Men are all big radishes." Beauty, you have to be careful. Fang Shishir smiled. I have confidence in him. Is that so? Li Xiaotian meaningfully smiled. Aya, what is this? Why is it so noisy? I heard that someone was killed. Tang Jing lightly said. Li Xiaotian shouted, Ah, murder, so scared, handsome Tang, we all know each other, you have to protect me. With that, she threw herself on Tang Jing's body, trembling as if she was extremely scared. Everyone was shocked by her action. Tang Jing did not have time to react, when he felt a soft body in his arms. Although Li Xiaotian had a baby face, her body was very well developed, with curves, it was very tempting. Her pair of hands firmly hugged Tang Jing's waist, burying her head in his arms. This posture was as ambiguous as it could be. Fang Shishir was dumbstruck at this scene. Even Tang Jing was no exception, stared blankly at her, but in an instant he calmed down. She was acting, and her acting was so realistic. If Tang Jing did not see her true face last night, perhaps he would have been deceived by her. But since you are acting, then I will also act. You are not the only actor. So he smoothly hugged her, his hands passed under her ribs, covering her full breasts. She was startled, her body tensed up, but Tang Jing was like a pervert, not letting go, and comforted her. Don't be afraid, I am here. Li Xiaoyan's face couldn't help but turn red. She was still a virgin, yet she was actually taken advantage of by Tang Jing in such an unbridled manner. Furthermore, it was in front of her girlfriend. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But even so, her hands were not idle, pressing on Tang Jing's waist, carefully probing. Chapter 203. Li Xiaoyan's movements were so subtle that even Tang Jing didn't notice anything strange. Suddenly, she frowned and secretly said, why doesn't he have any internal energy fluctuations? Could it be that he's not a martial artist? Li Xiaotian suspected that Tang Jing was a martial artist, so she purposely threw herself into his arms to test him, but in the end she found that Tang Jing didn't have any internal energy fluctuations at all. Fairy Search, novel download free novel. She didn't know that Tang Jing was a cultivator and that his body was filled with qi, which was a completely different kind of power from internal energy, so of course she would return empty-handed. The key point was that she was taken advantage of by Tang Jing. In the past 18 years, no one had ever taken advantage of her, but Tang Jing just had to take advantage of her. She hurriedly struggled out of Tang Jing's arms and stared at Tang Jing, her pink face full of anger, and angrily said, You just touched my chest. Tang Jing almost fainted. This baby-faced girl really didn't have a filter on her mouth. She even dared to say this. Fang Shishir heard this and fiercely pinched Tang Jing's waist. Tang Jing grimaced and sucked in a breath of cold air. Li Xiaotian smiled proudly. Hey, you can't accuse people wrongly. It was clearly you who took the initiative to throw yourself into my arms. How could you blame me? Tang Jing retorted. I was scared. I thought you were a gentleman, but I didn't expect you to take the opportunity to touch my chest. She said as she puffed out her chest. Although I know I'm a great beauty and have a good figure, but how am I going to live if you do this? Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This girl was really sharp-tongued. However, he wasn't afraid of her. He shrugged and said, You want me to take responsibility, right? Well then, you can ask my girlfriend's opinion. If she agrees, I don't mind taking you as a concubine. Fang Shishir glared at Tang Jing, but she also understood that he was definitely not a playboy. Since he said so, there must be a reason. Therefore, Fang Shishir followed his words and said, The threshold of the Tang family is very high. If you want to enter the door of the Tang family, it depends on your ability. Tang Jing secretly gave Fang Shishir a look of appreciation. Fang Shishir glared at him. She had never played along with others like this before. Li Xiaoyan's expression turned awkward, but there was nothing he could do. He angrily glared at the two of them, gritted his teeth and said, You two are amazing. Then she sat back on the bed angrily. Xiao Xiaoling looked at this scene without saying a word. He got out of bed and looked at Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian shook his head slightly without a trace. Xiao Xiaoling immediately understood what she meant. Tang Jing was not a martial artist. Xiao Xiaoling's eyes flashed with suspicion. He always felt that he couldn't see through Tang Jing. Although the other party's performance was harmless and there were not many flaws as a veteran killer, that kind of subconscious feeling made him have to pay attention to Tang Jing. Whether you are a martial artist or not, I will kill you when I get off the train. Xiao Xiaoling silently made up his mind. It's the three of them. Suddenly, a train attendant came over with two policemen and pointed to Tang Jing. Tang Jing was awe-inspiring. This man was the train attendant he met last night. He didn't expect him to recognize the three of them. Xiao Xiaoling's face was cold and he didn't say a word. Li Xiaotian, on the other hand, was in high spirits. She gossiped and asked, I heard that someone died. Is it true? The policeman didn't answer her. Instead, he stared at the three of them and said, Did the three of you go to the soft sleeper at 2 o'clock last night? Li Xiaotian nodded without hesitation. Yes, I couldn't sleep so I walked around. What's the matter? The policeman avoided answering and stared at Tang Jing. Tang Jing said, I went to the bathroom at that time. The policeman's eyes fell on Xiao Xiaoling again. Looking at his cold appearance, he was definitely not ordinary. Therefore, the two policemen put their hands on the holster and were on high alert. Xiao Xiaoling said unceremoniously, Can't I get out of bed and blow the wind? It's not impossible, but the time when the three of you appeared is too coincidental. It coincides with the time of a murder case, so you need to assist in the investigation. The policeman said in a businesslike manner. Yes. Unexpectedly, Xiao Xiaoling did not refuse but just said lightly. The two policemen breathed a sigh of relief. Since the other party was willing to cooperate, it couldn't be better. The three of you please open the suitcase. We need to check it. The policeman said that the deceased was injured by a sharp weapon. As long as the weapon was found, all the problems would be solved. Li Xiaotian quickly opened her suitcase and said, You see, I have snacks and clothes in it, but there is nothing. There were not many sensitive things in her suitcase. The policeman checked it once and skipped it. Xiao Xiaoling's luggage was the focus of the inspection, but there was nothing else noteworthy except for a few simple sets of clothes. It was Tang Zheng's turn. The policeman locked a long iron box at a glance and asked warily, What is this? Handicrafts. Open it and see. The policeman put his hand on the holster again. Officer, there is really no need to open it. This is my collection. Tang Jing advised. No, it must be opened. Tang Jing had no choice but to open the box. A gleaming black sword lay quietly in the iron box. The two policemen's body tightened. The deceased's throat was injured by a blunt weapon, and the sudden appearance of this black sword was undoubtedly the biggest suspect. Tang Jing went to Dianan this time. The danger was unknown. Of course he would bring War Soul. Finally, he spent a lot of effort to get a certificate for War Soul. Otherwise he couldn't bring it on the train. He thought that everything was going smoothly, but he never expected to encounter a murder. War Soul became the biggest suspect. Tang Jing certainly understood the policeman's mind and quickly explained, This is a handicraft. I have a certificate. Take it out and have a look. Be careful, don't act rashly. The policeman quickly pulled out his pistol and pointed it at Tang Jing. It seemed that once he acted rashly he would pull the trigger. Fang Shishir was shocked and shouted, Don't shoot, we didn't do anything bad. Tang Jing comforted her, Don't worry, we didn't do anything bad. What are you afraid of? Then he carefully took out the certificate of War Soul and handed it over. A policeman still pointed his gun at Tang Jing, and another policeman checked the certificate. Li Xiaotian and Xiao Xiaoling stared at the War Soul sword intently. With their eyes they could see that this was definitely not an ordinary handicraft, but a real treasure sword. Moreover, it had drunk blood and the murderous aura on it made people shudder. Li Xiaotian's eyes gradually brightened. Tang Jing was not a martial artist, but he had such a sword. This was too unusual. After checking the certificate, the policeman said, We need to keep this sword for the time being. After getting off the train, we will hand it over to the relevant department to check its authenticity. The policeman did not have the strength to distinguish the authenticity of the handicraft, so to be on the safe side, they made such a decision. War Soul was too important to Tang Jing. Of course, it was impossible to let the other party take it away. He immediately refused, No, this sword is very important to me. I can't let you take it away. The atmosphere became tense in an instant. The two policemen were like facing an enemy. It is your duty to cooperate with our investigation. In short, I didn't kill the people. You can't touch my things. Tang Jing said firmly. This is not up to you. We can only make a conclusion after we investigate clearly. The policeman did not give in. Handsome Tang, it is a citizen's duty to cooperate with the police. You can give this sword to them. Li Xiaotian said casually. Absolutely not. Oh, it seems that this is a treasure. Why don't you let me have a look? I have been interested in antique handicrafts since I was a child. Maybe I can help you identify it. Li Xiaotian reached out to grab War Soul. Tang Jing was quick and was about to start, but at this time the policeman raised his gun and shouted, Don't move. Tang Jing helplessly stopped. Li Xiaotian was about to succeed, but another slender hand closed the iron box first. This is my boyfriend's thing. You can't mess with it. Fang Shishir held the iron box in her arms and said firmly. Li Xiaotian was slightly startled. Fang Shishir was the first to get it. She looked at Fang Shishir in surprise. No matter how she looked at it, there was nothing strange about it. But Fang Shishir's movements were faster than her. Li Xiaotian's mouth hooked up and muttered to herself, interesting, really interesting. Put the box down. A policeman pointed his gun at Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir was not afraid and tightly hugged the box. Tang Jing frowned and angrily said, move the gun away. Don't point it at my girlfriend. Otherwise you will regret it. Tang Jing did not expect that he would be involved in this murder case. He originally had no flaws, but because of the appearance of War Soul, he became the biggest suspect. The policeman did not care about Tang Jing's threat. Instead, he thought it was a provocation. He flew into a rage and said, don't act rashly. Otherwise we will shoot. Tang Jing moved sideways and used his body to block in front of Fang Shishir. He said, you want to find the murderer, but you have found the wrong person. What do you mean? The policeman immediately caught the deep meaning in his words and quickly asked. The murderer is someone else. We are just two freshly graduated students. Is there a need for you to mobilize so many people? Tang Jing asked. He was considering whether to tell the truth about last night. Previously, he had felt the cold, murderous intent from the killer's eyes, so he was considering whether to use the police to deal with the killer. Xiao Xiao listened to this sentence and his body subconsciously became alert. His right hand was on his waist, ready to go. He could be sure that Tang Jing must have seen him kill people last night, so he must not be left alive. Li Xiaotian also understood this point, and his heart was awe-inspiring. Last night he actually deceived me. It's outrageous. And just now he deliberately took advantage of me. I absolutely can't let him live like this. If he dares to take advantage of me, I will let him peel off a layer of skin. Li Xiaotian rolled his eyes and pretended to be suddenly enlightened. He shouted, oh, police comrade, when I came out in the corridor last night, it seemed that I saw him carrying this sword. As soon as this remark came out, the atmosphere suddenly changed. The two policemen were facing an enemy, and it seemed that they were about to pull the trigger. Tang Jing could not hide his astonishment. This Li Xiaotian was really insidious. He even framed him. Women's hearts were the most poisonous. Chapter 204. Tang Jing didn't ask why Li Xiaotian framed him. Since she said so, it was after careful consideration. Tang Jing's refutation was in vain. Fang Shishir knew her boyfriend's character well. He would never kill people for no reason. So, she flew into a rage like a lioness protecting her cub. Li Xiaoan, why did you frame a good person? Li Xiaotian pretended to be wronged and said, I'm just telling the truth. Come with us. The policeman snapped, interrupting the conversation between the two. Tang Jing's expression was cold. Suddenly, his right hand was placed on Xiao Xiaoling's waist. When Xiao Xiaoling had not yet reacted, he took advantage of the situation and exposed a soft sword that was shining with cold light. Xiao Xiaoling reacted very quickly. When the soft sword was only exposed a few centimeters, his hand was on the hilt of the sword, shaking off Tang Jing's hand. But it was too late. Everyone had seen the soft sword at his waist. The policeman burst out, don't move. They didn't expect that Tang Jing would dare to move under the muzzle of the gun. Moreover, his movements were so fast that they were overwhelmed. More importantly, the exposed weapon at Xiao Xiaoling's waist made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. Only a vicious person would hide the sword so secretly. Therefore, in an instant, Xiao Xiaoling's suspicion was greater than Tang Jing's. One of the 6 guns was aimed at Tang Jing, the other was aimed at Xiao Xiaoling, and the other was at Xiao Xiaoling. Li Xiaotian looked at all this in surprise. She finally understood that Tang Jing was a hidden master. She had misjudged him. It was too hateful. However, things became more interesting. Her mouth evoked a wicked smile. She pretended to be surprised and shouted, wow, there is a sword here. I'm so scared. Then she rushed in the direction of the police. Police comrade, you have to protect me. I'm so scared. Perhaps she had the experience of being eaten by Tang Jing last time. She didn't jump into the arms of the police, but just blocked between Xiao Xiaoling and the muzzle of the gun. Seeing this, the policeman shouted anxiously, Miss, move away. But it was too late. As an assassin, Xiao Xiaoling grasped the opportunity perfectly. At the moment when Li Xiaotian rushed over, he launched an attack in an instant. Shwa. The soft sword was completely drawn out. Like a poisonous snake, it attacked Tang Jing's throat. Tang Jing saw that the situation was not good. He did not care about the police's muzzle. He grabbed the iron box in Fang Shirshi's hand and blocked it. Sparks flew everywhere. "Don't move or I'll shoot." The police were horrified. They never thought that under the gun, these two people would dare to make a move. Looking at the cold gleaming soft sword, it seemed to be more consistent with the wound of the deceased. Immediately, the two people understood that this person was the biggest suspect, and they absolutely could not let him escape. Moreover, the train was an enclosed space and there were many people. If this kind of outstanding martial artist suddenly attacked others, the consequences would be unimaginable. They must be blocked in this narrow space. So, the two policemen hesitated a little and pulled the trigger. Bang bang, two muffled gunshots. The bullets whistled out. In such a narrow space, the threat of the bullets was quite great. Tang Zheng put the iron box upright in front of him. The bullet penetrated the iron box and was blocked by the war spirit sword. The other bullet almost flew past Li Xiaoyan's body. The police deliberately avoided her when they shot, but the accuracy was greatly reduced. Xiao Xiaoling did not move at all. The bullet passed by, broke through the glass window and flew out. A small cold wind poured in from the bullet hole. "Hold your head and squat down." The police saw that the bullet did not hurt the other party at all. It would certainly arouse the other party's fierce resistance, so the police shouted. At the same time, they took 2 steps back to open up the distance between them to avoid the other party's possible attack, but it was enough to control the other party within the range of their own firepower. Li Xiaoyan's mouth hooked up into a smile. He stared at the scene with interest. When his eyes collided with Tang Zheng's, it was difficult to hide the provocation. Xiao Xiaoling's face became colder and colder. He did not pay attention to the police's threat at all. He slapped the window with his palm. With a crash, the window, which had been pierced by a bullet, instantly shattered. The huge cold wind poured into the carriage, making people subconsciously close their eyes. Xiao Xiaoling shot out lightning and grabbed Tang Zheng and Fang Shishi. In her exclamation, the two jumped out of the window. Tang Zheng was horrified. He did not expect that the other party would suddenly attack Fang Shishi. Even Li Xiaotian could not hide the surprise in his eyes. "Don't run." Tang Zheng roared and jumped off the train with the iron box in his arms. The two policemen were stunned. Jumping off such a high-speed train, wasn't it courting death? What a group of desperados. The two men hurriedly looked out of the window, but they did not see the other party. "Hey, two police comrades, make way." Li Xiaotian patted the two men on the shoulder and said, "Girl, what are you doing?" "Of course I'm going to catch up. It's a waste not to watch such a good show. You two, goodbye. Oh, by the way, let me remind you that I lied just now. The murderer is the guy with the soft sword." Li Xiaotian said lightly. "You lied." The policeman was shocked. Li Xiaotian shrugged and said, "Yes, a woman's words can't be trusted, especially a beautiful woman like me." Her voice fell, she tiptoed, flew over the two men's heads and rushed out of the window. The police officer subconsciously shouted and hurriedly leaned over to take a look. He thought that she would be smashed to pieces, but unexpectedly she landed lightly on the ground unscathed. She tiptoed and quickly ran in a certain direction. "Stop!" Tang Zheng roared. Xiao Xiaoling grabbed Fang Shishi and ran wildly in front, but because there were two people, their speed was a little slow. After a while they were caught up by Tang Zheng. Xiao Xiaoling simply stopped, the soft sword on her neck, coldly stared at Tang Zheng, who caught up and said, "Who are you? Let go of my girlfriend." Tang Zheng shouted angrily. "Answer my question first." Xiao Xiaoling was murderous. Tang Zheng said in a deep voice, "I'm just a passerby. I don't want to pay attention to your business. Let go of my girlfriend. We'll go our separate ways." Xiao Xiaoling sneered and said, "You witnessed me killing people. How can I keep you in this world? I took her to lead you here." Tang Zheng said disdainfully, "Then why didn't you kill Li Xiaotian?" "Oh, handsome Tang, you're so bad. You even encouraged him to kill me. I'm so beautiful and lovely. How can you let me die?" Li Xiaotian's voice came from afar. In an instant, she stood in front of the two men. Tang Zheng angrily glared at her and said, "Why are you framing me?" "It's fun." Li Xiaotian said casually. "Fun? Do you know that you will kill people like this?" Tang Zheng was furious. Framing him was just for fun. How preposterous. "You didn't die, did you?" Li Xiaotian retorted. "I almost died under the police's gun." "Oh, who told you to hide your strength? Let's not beat around the bush. How on earth did you hide your cultivation? When I was in your arms, I didn't even feel the fluctuation of internal energy." Li Xiaotian stared at Tang Zheng with a smile, like a doctor who had encountered a difficult disease. She was very interested. Tang Zheng was shocked. It turned out that when she threw herself into his arms, it was to test his details. He said that his charm was not so great that it was impossible for a beauty to throw herself into his arms. Xiao Xiao also stared at Tang Jing. He had read countless people, but he still ignored Tang Jing because he was really inconspicuous. Tang Jing, of course, would not answer the other party's question. He said, "Why should I tell you? Oh, I'm curious. Can't you satisfy my curiosity? Beautiful women are very gossipy. Don't pretend to be cute. You are a poisonous snake. You secretly spit out a letter, and when you have the opportunity you will bite others." Tang Jing said angrily. "Poisonous snake? Wow, am I as horrible as you say? You see, people are so cute. You don't know how many people like me. How could I be a poisonous snake?" Li Xiaotian said aggrievedly. Xiao Xiao looked at the two people without saying a word and interrupted, "Your judgment is very accurate. The people of Li Palace are poisonous snakes." Li Xiaotian smiled like a flower. "Wow, is the reputation of Li Palace so bad? If I tell Grandma that you slandered Li Palace like this, you, a cold-faced killer, can escape to the ends of the earth." Xiao Xiao coldly snorted and said, "Since I am a person who eats this bowl of rice, how can I be afraid of being chased? Not afraid? Then why did you let me go last night?" Li Xiaoyan's words hit the nail on the head. Xiao Xiao was speechless. "See, I was right. Men are duplicitous. This is what Grandma has always taught me. It seems that it is indeed a wise saying. Last night, you clearly guessed my identity from the heavenly silkworm treasure armor, so you would rather violate your own rules and let me go. It seems that you are still very afraid of Li Palace. If Grandma knew about this, she would be very happy. Li Palace is to make others afraid, to make others afraid." Although Li Xiaotian spoke in a relaxed manner, and even carried a bit of playfulness and liveliness, Tang Jing felt a chill from the information revealed in her words. What kind of place was this Li Palace specifically to make others feel afraid? But there was no doubt that Li Palace was definitely a powerful organization. Tang Jing's eyes were dark about the world's organizations, so he asked, "What is Li Palace?" "A good place where I grew up. The birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. It is very beautiful. This is the first time I have left Li Palace. I didn't expect the outside world to be so fun." Xiao Xiao was shocked. "You are 18 years old this year, right?" "Yes, how do you know?" Xiao Xiao's face became colder and colder. As if talking to himself, he said, "I should have guessed it a long time ago. Wearing the heavenly silkworm treasure armor, you are the holy maiden of Li Palace. At the age of 18 you will leave Li Palace and go out to gain experience. Oh, it seems that you know Li Palace very well. I thought that you, a guy who likes to fight alone, didn't understand the situation of the world." Li Xiaotian said curiously. Xiao Xiao disdainfully said, "If I didn't understand the world's palaces, sects and halls, then I don't know how many times I would have died." Chapter 205. One Palace, One Sect, One Hall. Tang Jing had never heard of it before and couldn't help but be curious. "Where are these places?" Li Xiaotian said with a smile, "Your strength is good, but you don't understand the situation of the world at all. It seems that you don't belong to any big power." Xiao Xiao also looked at him coldly, as if he was also speculating about Tang Jing's origin. "There are 3 places in the world where martial artists gather, namely the Li Palace, the Martial Sect, and the Azure Dragon Palace." Li Xiaotian explained. Martial Sect. Tang Jing was shocked to hear the name of the Martial Sect again. It turned out that the forces of the world were much more complicated than he thought. Could it be that these 3 forces all regarded the cultivators as eyesores? Then it would be troublesome. Where is the Martial Sect? Tang Jing asked subconsciously. Li Xiaoyan's eyes lit up and said, "Hey, you even know about the Martial Sect, it's really strange." Saying this, his pair of eyes looked at Tang Jing again. Tang Jing was secretly shocked. The Martial Sect was an organization that specialized in dealing with cultivators. Li Xiaotian guessed his identity, so he quickly explained, "I have heard people say that there are many masters in the Martial Sect, so I want to go there to learn." "Learn from a master?" Li Xiaotian covered his mouth and giggled. "It seems that that person must have lied to you. The Martial Sect has never accepted outsiders as disciples. You want to learn from a master, but there is no chance." "How do you know there is no chance if you don't try? You just need to tell me where the Martial Sect is." Tang Jing argued. Tian Chanzi had always wanted to go to the Martial Sect to find out. If he could know the location of the Martial Sect from Li Xiaotian, it would be simple. Unexpectedly, Li Xiaotian shook his head and said, "I don't know where the Martial Sect is. Only Grandma knows." Why don't you go back to the Li Palace with me and you will naturally know. Tang Zheng was a little moved. Are you sending him to his death? Any man who enters the Li Palace can forget about coming out alive. Xiao Xiao coldly interjected. Li Xiaotian glared at him. If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute. Besides, aren't you going to kill him? Let me take him to the Li Palace to play, isn't that exactly what you want? Tang Jing felt a chill run down his spine. This Li Xiaotian was too vicious. She actually wanted to lure him to the Li Palace and then kill him. A woman's heart was truly the most poisonous. Xiao Xiao disdainfully said, I don't need others to intervene in my own affairs. Li Xiaotian crossed his arms and shrugged. Then pretend I didn't say anything. You guys continue. I'll just watch the show. Xiao Xiao took a deep look at Li Xiaotian and no longer paid attention to her. Instead he said to Tang Jing, if you kill yourself I will let her go. Otherwise I will kill her first and then kill you. If you dare to hurt her, even if I chase you to the ends of the earth, I will tear you to pieces. Tang Jing said resolutely. I've never been afraid of threats. Are you going to make a move or not? Xiao Xiao coldly asked. Tang Jing looked at Fang Shishir. There was no fear on her face. Instead, she squeezed out a smile at him and said without fear, Tang Jing, you don't have to worry about me. Don't talk nonsense. I will save you. Hey handsome Tang, hurry up and do it. I want to see how you will save her. I'm very curious. Li Xiaotian urged. Xiao Xiao looked alert. Tang Jing had given him too many surprises. Therefore he was very afraid. However, he had a hostage in hand. He firmly believed that Tang Jing could not play any tricks. Of course Tang Jing could play tricks. He could use the body-fixing technique and make Xiao Xiao unable to move in an instant. But the key point was that there was a holy maiden of Li Palace next to him. Since Li Palace was as famous as Wu Zong, did Li Xiaotian know the existence of cultivators? Did he regard cultivators as his mortal enemy? If he used the body-fixing technique and exposed his identity as a cultivator, would he attract the pursuit of Li Palace? He was not sure, so he was hesitating. But seeing that the soft sword on Fang Shishir's neck had almost cut her skin, he knew that he was finally going to make a move. Even if Li Xiaotian discovered his identity, he could not say that he would get rid of her together. Tang Jing did not have the idea of having tender feelings for the fairer sex. Li Xiaotian was like a beautiful viper, making him avoid it like the plague. However, Fang Shishir's movements were faster than his. She had also learned the body-fixing technique, but she was not as proficient as Tang Jing. Therefore, her hand quietly aimed at Xiao Zhao's acupoints, so that she could hide the body-fixing technique and attribute it to the pressure point technique. This girl's meticulous mind was still not bad. Xiao Zhao's attention had been on Tang Jing. He did not notice Fang Shishir's movements at all, but Li Xiaotian had been paying attention to Fang Shishir's movements. At that time, Fang Shishir had snatched the iron box, which had always made Li Xiaotian worry. Although Fang Shishir was no different from an ordinary woman, the meticulous Li Xiaotian still put some energy into her. Seeing Fang Shishir's movements, Li Xiaotian's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Be careful of her pressure point technique." This earth-shattering sound immediately attracted Xiao Zhao's attention. He reacted very quickly and immediately reached out to grab Fang Shishir's finger. Tang Jing and Fang Shishir were furious. This Li Xiaotian was so bad that he ruined their good thing. But it was too late to accuse Li Xiaotian of his sinister intentions. Tang Jing quickly took out the war spirit sword from the box and stabbed it. This sword used the Flying Immortals from Outer Sky sword technique. It was as fast as thunder. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Xiao Xiao and stabbed straight at his face. If he did not resist, his head would be directly pierced by the sword. Xiao Xiao was forced to let go of Fang Shishir and block with his sword. Clang. The two swords hit each other and the two people quickly bounced back. Tang Jing grabbed Fang Shishir's waist and pulled her into his arms and quickly retreated. Drawing the sword, saving people and retreating, this series of actions was as fast as lightning and flowing water, showing Tang Jing's powerful strength. Xiao Xiao and Li Xiaotian coincidentally widened their eyes. Li Xiaotian suddenly applauded and laughed. "Beautiful, beautiful, you actually succeeded in snatching people from the hands of the cold-faced killer." Xiao Zhao's face became colder and colder. Originally, he had the upper hand, but this blow turned the situation around, which made him shocked and angry. Tang Jing looked at the two people coldly and said, "It's not that easy to kill us." Li Xiaotian chuckled and said, "I have to admit that you are right. You have to know that the cold-faced killer is an 8th grade natal expert, so I am very curious about what your cultivation level is." Tang Jing stared at Xiao Xiao. No wonder he couldn't see through his cultivation level. He turned out to be an 8th grade natal expert. He looked like he was only in his 30s, but he had such a high cultivation level. There was no doubt that he was a genius. It was not a good thing to be remembered by such an expert. If it weren't for Li Xiaotian, he couldn't have provoked Xiao Xiao. Therefore Tang Jing was even more hateful to the culprit who watched a good show. You are the Holy Virgin of Li Palace. What is your cultivation level? Tang Jing asked. I asked you first. You say it first and I will say it. Li Xiaotian said wittily. Tang Jing snorted and ignored it. Of course he couldn't tell the other party his details. Oh, you are so stingy. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. Cold-faced killer, you can continue now. Don't let me wait too long. Hurry up and decide the winner. I'm a little hungry. I got up early in the morning and didn't have time to eat breakfast. Li Xiaotian urged. Xiao Xiao stared at Tang Jing and said, I don't care who you are. Since I said I would kill you, then I will naturally do it. Otherwise I will break my rules. Tang Jing disdainfully said, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Why are you not so tough to her? Xiao Xiao's face was embarrassed and said, this world is the law of the jungle. If you have such a strong background as her, then I naturally don't mind letting you go. Is that so? Then what will make you willing to let me go? Tang Jing was now in the 9th grade refining qi, and Fang Shishir, who was in the 3rd grade refining qi, was certainly not Xiao Xiao's opponent. Therefore this battle was very difficult, and there was almost no hope for victory. If you beat me, I can naturally let you go, Xiao Xiao said. Well, I hope you won't deny it later. Tang Jing had to give it his all and rushed up with his sword. Xiao Xiao gave a cold shout and also greeted him. In the blink of an eye the two people fought together. They had already exchanged more than 10 moves. The soft sword in Xiao Xiao's hand was like a poisonous snake, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Tang Jing gave a loud roar as he displayed the flying immortals from beyond the sky sword technique. Winds rose and clouds surged. In that instant, sand and stones flew everywhere as the aura between heaven and earth fluctuated unpredictably. His sword attacked with the force of wind and thunder. Xiao Xiao's face changed slightly and shouted, good sword technique. The soft sword zigzagged forward, drawing an earthworm-like sword light in the air, but layer upon layer, completely blocking this move of the wind and clouds. Bang! The sword light shattered and Xiao Xiao took a step back. He said in amazement, it's really a good sword technique. It can even force me to retreat. But if you want to defeat me with this ability, you may not think it's too easy. Shua. Her flexible sword trembled as sword light scattered down, attacking Tang Jing in a voluminous manner. Tang Jing did not retreat but moved forward. The wind and clouds surged, and the sword hit the center of the scattered sword light. Kacha, the sword light shook and Tang Jing quickly moved forward. At the same time he secretly used the fixed body technique. The aura between heaven and earth changed in an instant. Xiao Xiao felt a force rushing into his meridians, and his body couldn't move for a moment. Tang Jing did not give Xiao Xiao a chance to react. Seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the war spirit sword pressed against the opponent's throat, but did not move further. Because he knew that the fixed body technique alone could not really control the opponent for a long time. As long as the opponent felt that something was wrong, he would immediately use his power to force out this force. Just like when he faced Huang Si, the fixed body technique did catch the opponent off guard, but it could not become a fatal killing move. Sure enough, Xiao Xiao noticed that his body could not move, and quickly used his power to force back the force. At this moment, the war spirit sword was already at his throat. Although he recovered his mobility, there was no doubt that he was defeated. His eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. You lost. Tang Jing said calmly, withdrawing his sword and retreating. Xiao Xiao's face changed. He could not imagine that he would be defeated like this. The key was that the mysterious force just now made him very afraid. He did not know how Tang Jing did it, but there was no doubt that Tang Jing was far more complicated than he thought. Li Xiaotian looked at the two people in surprise and asked in surprise, how could you lose? In the previous attack of the two people, Tang Jing was obviously at a disadvantage, but in the blink of an eye, the battle situation had changed dramatically, which made her puzzled. Chapter 206. Xiao Xiaoling was also baffled. He couldn't tell why. He just stared straight at Tang Jing, recalling the scene just now, but he was still confused. Li Xiaotian asked Tang Jing again, how did you do it? Tang Jing turned a deaf ear and just stared at Xiao Xiaoling. You lost. It's time to fulfill your promise. Xiao Xiaoling hesitated. The mystery shown by Tang Jing made him a little afraid. Moreover, he really couldn't figure out the details of Tang Jing, so he nodded after a long time and said, "Well, I'll let you go this time, but if I meet you next time, you won't be so lucky." After that, he turned around and disappeared with a few leaps. Tang Jing secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He took Fang Shishi's hand and turned to leave. "Hey, wait a minute." Li Xiaotian shouted and caught up with him. "What are you going to do?" Tang Jing decided to stay away from her and asked without any politeness. "This is the wilderness. What if I meet a bad guy? So I'll go with you." Li Xiaotian said with a smile as if nothing had happened. "Others should be worried about their own safety when they meet you. Who can hurt you?" Tang Jing said with a bad face. Li Xiao giggled and said, "Are you still angry with me? You're a real man, so you should be more tolerant. Otherwise you won't be liked by girls. It's enough that I have a girlfriend who likes me. I don't need to please other girls." Tang Jing said lightly. Fang Shishi heard this and smiled sweetly. Li Xiaotian curled her lips and said, "You don't have to be so heartless. Besides, I'm going out for the first time. There are many things I don't understand. Wouldn't it be better if we go together? In addition, all my luggage and belongings are on the train. Do you have the heart to watch me starve to death?" That delicate and pitiful appearance was pitiful. If the two of them hadn't seen what she had done just now, they would have definitely been deceived by her. Tang Jing's expression was as hard as iron and stone as he said, "I'm very happy to see that. Goodbye, oh no, never again." Tang Jing pulled Fang Shishi forward quickly. Fang Shishi turned to look at Li Xiaotian and found that she was actually following behind them at a leisurely pace. "She's following us?" Fang Shishi reminded in a low voice. This girl's actions were beyond her imagination. Tang Jing stopped in his tracks and turned to glare fiercely at Li Xiaotian. "What's the point of this? You almost killed me just now. Why should I bring you along?" "Because I'm a girl, and a beautiful girl at that," Li Xiaotian said coquettishly. "The beauty trap is useless against me. Besides, are you as beautiful as my girlfriend?" Tang Jing said jokingly. Fang Shishi heard this and looked at him sweetly. Only he could praise his girlfriend in front of another girl. Li Xiaotian said angrily, "Hey, are you not going to give me face like this? You're slandering my image. Anyway, I don't care. I have no relatives in Dianan and I'm penniless. Anyway, I'm depending on you. Whatever you want to do, I'll follow you." Seeing that he was helpless, Tang Jing had no choice but to pull Fang Shishi in front. Li Xiaotian followed like a burden. She kept asking Tang Jing questions, but he ignored them one by one. After a long while, her mouth was dry and she said rather discouragingly, "Hey, why don't you say a word?" "I don't want to talk to you," Tang Jing said without looking back. They could see the edge of the city in front of them. The place where they jumped off the train was not far from the terminal station. The three of them were very fast, so it didn't take long for them to enter the city. Suddenly, Tang Jing's cell phone rang. "Tang Jing, I'm at the train station. Your train has arrived, but why haven't I seen you?" Mu Hongyan asked. Tang Jing had specifically informed her before leaving, so she came to pick him up in person. "We got off halfway and now we're in the city. Where are you? I'll pick you up." Tang Jing looked at the street sign and told the other party before stopping in his tracks. "You have a friend to pick you up?" Li Xiaotian asked. "Yes, so you can leave or you can call home and ask them to pick you up," Tang Jing said indifferently. Li Xiaotian curled his lips. "The Li Palace has rules. During the training period, you can't ask for help from the Li Palace. Otherwise, the training will be considered a failure." "That's your rule, what does it have to do with me?" Tang Jing retorted. "You can't just watch someone die and not help. Sure, hurry and persuade him. He's too cold-blooded and that's not good." Seeing that Tang Jing was unmoved, Li Xiaotian immediately changed his method and asked for Fang Shishi's help. Fang Shishi turned a deaf ear. Tang Jing hurriedly said, "How can my cold blood compare to yours? Just because you're not innocent, you can frame people and almost cause them to lose their lives." Li Xiaotian said apologetically, "Aren't you fine? Don't worry about this problem. Sure, just ask her to promise me." As he said this, he actually grabbed Fang Shishi's arm. Fang Shishi was incomparably embarrassed and hurriedly said, "Hurry and let go, this isn't something I can decide." Li Xiaotian was broken free, but he still unwillingly hugged Tang Jing's arm and said, "Hurry up and say it, do you agree or not?" Tang Jing felt a soft thing rubbing against his arm. It felt pretty good, so he glanced at her full breasts and said without any trace of politeness, "This time you rubbed your breasts against my arm, so don't blame me for touching your breasts." Fang Shishi heard this and didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she glared at him. He took advantage of her and now he was pretending to be obedient. Li Xiaotian said with grievance, "I've already sacrificed my body, could it be that you still don't agree?" Tang Jing didn't waver. "I don't agree. Jie." A car stopped in front of them and a lively figure jumped out of the car and threw herself into Tang Jing's arms. "Brother Godly Doctor, Nana can finally see you again. This is great, I'm so happy." Nana threw herself into Tang Jing's arms and acted coquettishly. Tang Jing squatted down and patted her head and said, "I'm also very happy, Nana has grown taller again." "I really grew taller again?" Nana opened her eyes wide and asked in surprise. Tang Jing nodded. "Of course, I think it won't be long before you can catch up to me." Nana said with approval, "And Nana will definitely grow taller and eat more." Li Xiaotian looked at the little girl who was carved out of jade in surprise. Originally she also took the cute route, but compared with this little girl who was like a porcelain doll, she was a little less charming. But her eyes were immediately attracted by another figure. Mu Hongyan, who exuded a mature charm, came out of the car. Li Xiaotian's eyes flashed with surprise. How could it be her? This kid actually has something to do with her. Mu Hongyan came over with a smile. "Tang Jing Shishir, welcome to Dianan." Fang Shishir already knew about the matter between Tang Jing and Mu Hongyan. She smiled and nodded. "This time I'll have to disturb Sister Mu. Please recommend." Chapter 207. Looking at Mu Hongyan's reaction, Li Xiaotian said to himself, "I guess that you must know about the Li Palace, unlike some people who don't know anything." Book Friend Group Plus. As he said this, he gave Tang Jing a meaningful glance. Tang Jing found that Mu Hongyan's reaction was so big that he knew that the Li Palace was not ordinary. Looking at her disdainful eyes, he retorted, "Li Xiaotian, don't use your name to scare people." Li Xiaotian smiled confidently. "Whether I am scaring people or not, I believe that Madame Long will have her own judgment." Mu Hongyan glanced at Tang Jing as if thinking about how Tang Jing was entangled with the people of the Li Palace, and it seemed that there was not a small conflict. However, she reacted quickly and adjusted her mood in an instant, saying, "Since you are a person of the Li Palace, of course I welcome you." Seeing this, Tang Jing did not say anything more, but he also had a further understanding of the Li Palace. The car was as fast as lightning. Dianan was like spring all year round. Even though it was the dog days of June, it was not too hot. Nana was lying in Tang Jing's arms, pointing out the scenery outside the window to introduce to Tang Jing. Mu Hongyan added a few words from time to time, making them listen with relish. Li Xiaotian continued to show his natural familiarity, constantly looking for topics to chat with Mu Hongyan, and asked without regard, "Nana, I heard you call him Brother Godly Doctor, why? Is his medical skills very good?" "Of course, Brother Godly Doctor." Nanan was just about to say that her illness was cured by Tang Jing when Tang Jing's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick as he hurriedly stopped her. Nana carefully thought about it and unexpectedly understood. She pouted like a ghost and said, "You must have made Brother Godly Doctor angry, so I won't talk to you." Li Xiaotian's face stiffened. Eating in the hands of the child, she awkwardly turned her head. Tang Jing laughed loudly. "Ha Nana, good, but you can't talk to this kind of bad person, otherwise you will be led astray by her. If you become a bad child, no one will like you." Fang Shishir gave Nana a thumbs up. Nana excitedly nodded and said, "Nana, remember, don't talk to this kind of bad person. Nana will not become a bad child, otherwise Brother Godly Doctor will not like me." "Yes, Nana is a good child, I like you very much." Tang Jing touched her delicate face and said. Tang Jing said with a smile. Li Xiaotian angrily glared back and said, "Handsome Tang, I think you are the one teaching bad things to this child." "That's not it. Brother Godly Doctor is a good person. Nana listens to him and not you. You are a bad person." Nana pretended to be serious and said seriously. Unknowingly, the car drove through a tall carved iron gate and entered a huge building complex. This building complex was built on the mountain, but it was not a tall building but an ancient building. Moreover, it was several times larger than Yi Dingdong's manor, and more importantly, the mountain seemed to be included in this huge building complex. Fang Shishir looked out the window in surprise. She was from a small rich family, but she was also shocked by this large amount, and quietly asked, "What does Nana's family do to occupy such a large area? It is like an ancient palace." Compared to an imperial palace, of course it was exaggerated, but looking at this richly decorated ancient building complex, a sense of vicissitudes of history came rushing over. Tang Jing shook his head, indicating that he was not clear about the Long family's background. Li Xiaotian caught a glimpse of the two's movements from the corner of his eyes, and his eyebrows rose. Tang Jing seemed to be very familiar with Mu Hongyan, but he did not know the Long family's background. It was really strange. The car was parked in a wide parking lot, and there were several luxury cars next to it as if it was a small car show. Under the guidance of Mu Hongyan, the few people came to a two-story building, and first arranged for a few people to stay. This small building only had 3 guests, Tang Jing, and Mu Hongyan then said to Tang Jing, "Nana's grandfather wants to see you." Tang Jing was slightly startled and immediately understood that it must be because he cured Nana, so he nodded to show that he understood. "Miss Li, you first rest. If you need anything just tell the servant," Mu Hongyan said. Li Xiaotian nodded but looked at Tang Jing even more strangely. The Long family's old man was actually in such a hurry to see him. Just who was he? Why did the Li Palace never pay attention to him? She could not help but feel a little angry. The Li Palace's information had always been the most up-to-date and complete, but they had overlooked such an important person. When she returned in the future, she would definitely rectify it. Tang Jing followed Mu Hongyan to a large study room. This study room was like a library with several walls filled with bookshelves filled with all kinds of books. Nana jumped down from Tang Jing's embrace, and threw herself at a hale and hearty old man and cheered, "Grandfather, brother godly doctor is here." This old man was the head of the Long family, Long Xinyuan. He looked at Tang Jing with bright eyes, held Nana's hand and walked over to Tang Jing. He stretched out his big hand, held Tang Jing and laughed, "So you are the brother godly doctor that Nana has been talking about? You are indeed a talented person, young and promising." Tang Jing could clearly feel the surging qi and blood in the other party's body, although he could not see through the other party's cultivation. There was no doubt that he was a true expert. "Hello, old Master Long," Tang Jing said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "You are called Tang Jing, right? I am Long Xinyuan, the head of the Long family. I still owe you a thank you for saving Nana's life." Long Xuanyuan's expression revealed some excitement as he said. Tang Jing looked at Nana and said with a smile, "This is fate between Nana and me." "What a good fate. Sit down first, I want to have a good chat with you. I have heard a lot about you, even the King of Medicine is full of praise for you, and wants to take you in as his disciple." Tang Jing said indifferently, "That is the King of Medicine Senior's love. I am just an ordinary boy, I do not deserve such praise." "Why not?" "As far as I am concerned, the King of Medicine was helpless against Nana's illness, but you cured her illness with medicine, and I heard that you did not only save Nana, but also Yi Xuanji, that old man, was cured by you. It is really admirable." Old Xinyuan sighed. Tang Jing's heart moved. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in this world. Even Long Xinyuan knew about him curing Yi Xuanji. Long Xinyuan saw through his thoughts and explained, "Tang Jing, don't misunderstand, only Hong Yan and I know about this matter, no one else knows." Tang Jing sighed in relief and said, "Thank you. I really don't want too many people to know about this matter. After all, I don't have the life-continuing pill in my hands. If others come to me for treatment, I can only be helpless." "The life-continuing pill is so precious, of course it is rare, I understand. This time you come to Dianan to stay for a while, have fun and let our Long family be the host. I will play in Dianan for a while, I will have to disturb old master." "No problem." Bang. Suddenly the study room door was pushed open, and a person hurriedly came in and shouted, "Dad, something happened." Long Xuanyuan's expression turned cold and said in a deep voice, "Panicking, what are you doing? Can't you see that I am receiving a guest?" As he spoke, an imposing aura burst out, causing people's hearts to involuntarily tighten. The person who came in was the second young master of the Long family, Long Tinyu. He was stunned for a moment, and his gaze stopped on Tang Jing's body, flashing a look of surprise. Tang Jing also sized up the other party without leaving a trace. He was in his 20s, had an imposing appearance, and was a veritable handsome man. "Dad, there is an urgent matter," Long Tinyu said. Long Xinyuan nodded. "Tang Jing, go and rest with Hong Yan first, I will drink with you during the lunch banquet." Tang Jing got up and left, holding Nana's hand, and Mu Hongyan walked out together. "Dad, who is this person?" Long Tinyu looked at Tang Jing suspiciously, and his gaze swept over Mu Hongyan. When the two of them walked out of the room, he hurriedly asked. Long Xinyuan did not answer and asked, "You just said that there was an urgent matter, what happened?" "Wang Fuchuan was killed. It happened last night on the train back," Long Tinyu said. Long Xuanyuan's face darkened. "Killed? What happened? Didn't you send 3 martial artists to protect him?" "The 3 martial artists are also dead, All of them were injured by a blunt weapon in the throat, killed in one blow. Long Tingyu said in bewilderment. This result was unbelievable to him. The person who killed him is an expert. Long Xinyuan said thoughtfully, are there any clues? The police saw the murderer but he escaped, but there are still a few suspects information collected by the police. I have already sent people to investigate, and the information should be back soon. Daring to kill our Long family's people, we must find the other party, otherwise people will look down on our Long family. Long Tingyu said with righteous indignation. Long Xinyuan muttered, of course we have to find the mastermind, but from what you described, this time it was definitely done by a professional killer, and there won't be many clues left. But since the police have clues, then we will follow the vine to find the melon, and see if we can find anything. Yes, Dad, this time Wang Fuchuan specially came back to report that matter and was killed on the way, then this matter is too worth pondering. Who is behind the scenes? Long Xinyuan sneered, of course it is coveting my Long family's people. Wang Fuchuan also deserves to die. He actually dared to betray my Long family. Even if he is not killed this time, I will teach him a lesson when he comes back. Ding ding. Suddenly Long Tingyu's phone rang. He was overjoyed. Dad, the police sent a message. A few pictures and some simple information appeared on his phone. It's actually a beauty and not just one, two beauties. There is also a man. Why does this person look so familiar? Long Tingyu frowned suspiciously. Suddenly his eyes lit up and shouted, isn't this the brat just now? On the phone were the photos of Tang Jing, Fang Shishir and Li Xiaotian, but there were some differences in the photos on the ID card, so Long Tingyu did not recognize Tang Jing at a glance. But this was enough to surprise him. The suspect of Wang Fuchuan's murder case actually came to the Long family. It was too unbelievable. Let me see. Long Xinyuan took the phone and looked. Who else could it be if not Tang Jing? Moreover, the identity information on the phone was clear at a glance. It was Tang Jing. Tang Jing was actually involved in Wang Fuchuan's murder case, and Wang Fuchuan was a member of the Long family. Long Xuanyuan's two thick eyebrows immediately twisted, and his eyes became incomparably sharp, like a blade. Chapter 208. Long Xinyuan was thinking. Tang Jing saved Nana, but was involved in Wang Fuchuan's murder case. He didn't know if this was a coincidence or intentional. But no matter what, this matter had to be investigated thoroughly. Since Tang Jing was living in the Long family, there was no need to rush. I will naturally ask about this matter clearly. You don't have to worry about it. Long Xinyuan said in a deep voice. Seeing that his father did not reveal the other party's identity, Long Tingyu's heart sank. Could it be that this kid had a big background? No, seeing that he was very familiar with Mu Hongyan, could it be that he was one of Mu Hongyan's people? Long Tingyu left the study with a gloomy expression, only to see Mu Hongyan returning alone. He hurriedly went up to her and said with a smile, Sister-in-law, why didn't you accompany the guests and come back again? Mu Hongyan said, I still have something to do with Dad. Oh, what is it? Is it convenient to tell me? I can also share sister-in-law's worries and solve her problems. Long Tingyu's face could not hide the frivolous expression on his face. Mu Hongyan faintly smiled. She walked past him and headed straight for the study. Long Tingyu seemed to be used to her cold attitude and asked casually, Sister-in-law, who is that kid just now? He seems to be quite close to you. Mu Hongyan stopped and turned to look at him angrily and said, He is my friend. Oh, how come I've never seen him before? Sister-in-law, introduce your friend to me in the future. Why don't I invite sister-in-law to dinner tonight and hear about your friend? Ever since sister-in-law came back from outside, I haven't invited you to dinner. Long Tingyu said unscrupulously. The anger between Mu Hongyan's brows grew even stronger. She took a deep breath, and her towering chest heaved up and down, making Long Tingyu reluctant to look away. I'm not free. Mu Hongyan said coldly and pushed the door open to enter the study. She was very clear about what Long Tingyu was planning. Ever since her husband passed away, Long Tingyu had been plotting against her sister-in-law. Recently, he had become more and more unbridled, causing her to be extremely annoyed. Seeing Mu Hongyan's graceful figure disappear through the door, Long Tingyu did not hide the lust in his eyes as he muttered, Why are you pretending to be virtuous with me? One day I will take you. Mu Hongyan was indeed a stunner, a mature stunner that made men palpitate with eagerness. In the study, Long Xinyuan jumped up from his seat when he heard Mu Hongyan's words. He exclaimed, You said that people from the Li Palace came to our house? Mu Hongyan nodded. Just now she came with Tang Zheng. It is said that they met on the train. Train? Long Xinyuan frowned. Why was it a train again? Could it be that Wang Fuchuan's death was related to the Li Palace? But it shouldn't be. The Long family and the Li Palace had never had any enmity. Did the people from the Li Palace say their intentions? Mu Hongyan shook her head and said, "No, but I can see that her relationship with Tang Zheng is not ordinary." How could Tang Zheng be related to the people from the Li Palace? Mu Hongyan shook her head blankly. This matter must be investigated thoroughly. You should first find out her purpose. No, you should directly invite her to see me. Since she has already revealed her identity, our Long family naturally cannot neglect our guests. Mu Hongyan deeply agreed. After a while she brought Li Xiaotian in, closed the door and left. After a long time, Li Xiaotian was personally escorted out of the study by Long Xinyuan. "Miss Li, I wish you a good time in Dianan. If you need anything just let me know. I will fully cooperate," Long Xinyuan said with a serious face. Li Xiaotian chuckled and said, "Then I will thank Master Long." Mu Hongyan looked at the two suspiciously. It was inconvenient to ask what they talked about, so she left with Li Xiaotian, leaving Long Xinyuan to return to his chair and fall into contemplation. It turns out that one of the two women on the train is from the Li Palace. Moreover, she is the Holy Maiden of the Li Palace. In the future, the Holy Maiden will be in charge of the Li Palace. At this time, a good relationship with her is absolutely beneficial to the future development of the Long family. It's just that she has been hiding the true purpose of this trip, making it difficult to figure out. The Holy Maiden of the Li Palace going out to gain experience is not a simple sightseeing. Li Xiaotian did not care about Long Xuanyuan's thoughts. She wanted to inquire more about Tang Zheng's background. She asked Mu Hongyan about Tang Zheng's information. Mu Hongyan talked about him, making Li Xiaotian helpless. However, her interest in Tang Zheng became stronger. When the two returned to the door of the small building, they heard a roar coming from inside. Mu Hongyan's face suddenly changed, because she clearly heard that it was Long Tingyu's voice. As long as there was Long Tingyu, there would be no peace. He must be the one causing trouble. So she rushed into the small building. Li Xiaotian's eyes lit up, and there was a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. She also quickly followed up. In the small building, Tang Zheng and Long Tingyu were confronting each other. Nana pouted and unhappily grabbed Tang Zheng's hand, while Fang Shishir stood angrily at the side. "What happened?" Mu Hongyan asked with a heavy face. Fang Shishir quickly said, "Sister Mu, this person is too rude. He suddenly rushed in and wanted to capture us, saying that we are related to some murder case." Just now, when the three of them were resting in the small building, Long Tingyu walked in and asked Tang Zheng why he killed Wang Fuchuan. Tang Zheng was confused. Long Tingyu also saw Fang Shishir. Wasn't she the girl in the photo? Immediately, he was even more certain that the other party was related to the murder case, so he directly wanted to capture the two of them. Long Tingyu's unscrupulous behavior was not without reason. He was sure that Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan had a close relationship. If he could confirm that the murder case was related to the two, then Mu Hongyan would be implicated and her status in the Long family would plummet. Only by knocking Mu Hongyan down from the altar would he have a chance to get close to her. In order to get Mu Hongyan, Long Tingyu had put in a lot of effort. However, Tang Zheng was not someone who could be needed by others. Of course he would not go with him. Thus, Long Tingyu flew into a rage and prepared to make a move. Just at this time Mu Hongyan walked in. "What are you doing?" she shouted angrily. Long Tingyu's face did not change. He righteously said, "Sister-in-law, you came at the right time. This person is related to Wang Fuchuan's murder case, so I want to bring him back for investigation." "Wang Fuchuan's murder case? What happened? He's dead?" Mu Hongyan asked in surprise. "Please recommend." Chapter 209. Looking at Long Tingyu, who had a sinister expression and was in incomparable pain, Mu Hongyan opened his eyes wide in shock. He never expected that Tang Zheng would actually make a move, and the effect of his attack was so terrifying. Reading comfortably, she couldn't help but think of the assassin who had been turned into an idiot by Tang Zheng's hands. However, the key point was that Long Tingyu was not an assassin, but the young master of the Long family. However, the young master of the Long family was not worth mentioning in front of Tang Zheng. He had become a defeated opponent who couldn't even withstand a single blow, and was in such a sorry state. "I'm going to kill you." Long Tingyu's face turned into the color of a pig's liver, and he roared angrily, "Mu Hongyan, you brought people to hurt me and even hid in this brat's embrace. It's immoral." Mu Hongyan was shocked and subconsciously left Tang Zheng's embrace and said angrily, "Long Tingyu, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm your sister-in-law, how dare you slander me like this? You know that you're my sister-in-law, yet you're protecting outsiders. Furthermore, you're even flirting with each other. Tell me who's right and who's wrong. Long Tingyu wanted to occupy the moral high ground and take this opportunity to pull Mu Hongyan down from the altar and let his father see her true colors. It was a great humiliation to have such a woman at home. Long Tingyu's intentions were sinister. Even Tang Zheng could not stand it anymore and frowned deeply. Although Nana did not understand these words, but seeing her mother trembling in anger, she cried out, "Bad person, he's a bad person, brother godly doctor, bad person is bullying mommy, you have to help mommy Wu." Seeing that, Mu Hongyan hugged Nana in her arms and comforted her. "Nana, don't cry, we don't care about bad people, don't be afraid." Nana buried her head in Mu Hongyan's arms and shivered. "Nana is not afraid, Mom, don't be afraid, with brother godly doctor here, no one can hurt Mom and Nana." Long Tingyu was furious, even the child did not put him in his eyes, and it was obvious that he had deep feelings for Tang Zheng, which provoked him even more, and he roared, "Mu Hongyan, you still dare to say that you and this brat have nothing to do with each other, even this girl is so clingy to him, I think he is the Xiao Bai face that you raised outside, to actually dare to bring Xiao Bai face back to the Long family, none of you can even think about leaving today." These words were too vicious. Mu Hongyan was so angry that his entire body was trembling, his face flushed red, he pointed at Long Tingyu and said, "Long Tingyu, you are going too far." Tang Zheng was also angered by these words. He and Mu Hongyan were innocent, yet they were insulted like this. Furthermore, Fang Shishir was still by her side. What did she think? Immediately he rushed towards Long Tingyu. "If you don't know how to speak, then I'll teach you." His speed was very fast. Long Tingyu staggered back until he was in front of the wall, and had no way to retreat. Tang Zheng was already in front of him and grabbed his collar. Long Tingyu anxiously extended his hand to block, but he had already lost one of his arms. How could he be a match for Tang Zheng? In the blink of an eye, Tang Zheng had grabbed onto his other arm. Kacha. His arm was dislocated and drooped down. Long Tingyu let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. Cold sweat poured out and his face was as pale as paper. Tang Zheng did not stop there. His big hand directly grabbed onto Long Tingyu's neck, lifted him up, and fiercely threw him at Mu Hongyan's feet. Long Tingyu was like a wild dog at Mu Hongyan's feet. He was in a sorry state as he cried out miserably. Tang Zheng's series of actions were as fast as lightning. Before the others could react, they saw this scene and were immediately dumbstruck. Li Xiaoyan's eyes were like bright stars in the night sky, growing brighter and brighter as he stared at Tang Zheng. Fang Shishir, on the other hand, looked at Tang Zheng with a face full of concern, unable to hide the fear on his face. At the scene, the happiest person was Nana. She clapped her hands excitedly and cheered, "Brother godly doctor is so powerful. Beat the bad guy, beat the bad guy." Mu Hongyan lowered his head to look at Long Tingyu who was at his feet, and felt as if he was dreaming. Long Tingyu had always been high and mighty, and had harassed her in every possible way, but she was powerless to do anything about it. She never thought that Long Tingyu would be lying at her feet, in such a sorry state. However, she instantly realized that something was wrong. Tang Zheng's treatment of Long Tingyu was tantamount to poking a huge hole in the sky. Even if he saved Nana's life, it would still bring him a lot of trouble. Long Tingyu was a person who would definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. After suffering such a great humiliation, he would definitely not let it go and would definitely wait for an opportunity to take revenge. As expected, Long Tingyu struggled to stand up and roared, "Brat, I will definitely kill you. I will burn your bones and scatter your ashes so that you will never be able to turn over a monk." Bang! What answered him was a ruthless kick from Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng stepped on his body, causing him to fall flat on his face. The bridge of his nose hit the ground and blood flowed out. "You still dare to threaten me? Do you believe that I will kill you right now?" Killing intent burst out from Tang Zheng's eyes. Back then he didn't even dare to give face to Yi Xuanji, let alone a hedonistic young master like Long Tingyu. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with interest. He really wanted to kill him. Interesting, there were probably very few people in this world who dared to kill the young master of the Long family. He was really a different person. Long Tingyu's pig-like scream spread far and wide, alarming the people of the Long family. A woman's voice came from afar. "Who dares to hurt my son?" A graceful and noble woman entered the small building under the escort of a large group of people. When she saw Long Tingyu being stepped on the ground, the woman turned pale with fright and screamed, "Ah, my son, how did you become like this?" Then his gaze landed on Tang Zheng's body and he flew into a rage. Do it, kill this person, he dares to hurt my son, he deserves to die. So. Two powerful men jumped out from behind her. The two of them were actually first stage post-celestial stage warriors, and in the blink of an eye, they were in front of Tang Zheng. The moment the two of them made their moves, they were extremely dangerous. They greeted Tang Zheng from top to bottom, left to right, and covered almost all directions. Tang Zheng growled, he lifted Long Tingyu up with the tip of his foot and smashed him towards the two of them. Seeing that, the two of them withdrew their attacks and retreated in shock, afraid that they would hurt Long Tingyu. Tang Zheng followed him like a shadow, hiding behind Long Tingyu. He punched out again and again. Bang bang. Two punches landed on their chests, and the two of them flew out like kites with their strings cut, unable to stand up again. This attack was Tang Zheng's full-strength attack. Its power was extraordinary, and it was bound to hit the target with one strike, as well as disintegrate the opponent's fighting strength. These two first-stage post-celestial stage warriors were afraid of breaking the vases, so they received Tang Zheng's most ferocious attack and instantly lost their fighting strength. Taking care of two first-stage post-celestial stage warriors in one move, this scene deeply shocked everyone. Even the aggressive woman was dumbstruck. A very discordant voice rang out. Nana clapped excitedly and shouted, "Brother Godly Doctor is so awesome, you defeated all the bad guys." Mu Hongyan's heart trembled. She immediately stopped her shouting daughter, because she saw that her mother-in-law's face was already like the sky before a storm, so gloomy that it was difficult to breathe. Li Xiaotian smacked her lips. She had a new understanding of Tang Zheng's strength. To be able to defeat two first-stage post-celestial stage warriors, just what cultivation level was he at, and how much was he hiding? What an enigmatic handsome guy. Mrs. Long supported his son, wiped the blood off his face with a pained heart, and screamed, "Who exactly are you? How dare you behave atrociously in the Long family?" Long Tingyu finally heaved a sigh of relief and said with a sad face, "Mom, you have to uphold justice for me. This brat is Mu Hongyan's lover. He came to the Long family to show off his strength. This is treating the Long family as if there is no one left." As he said that, a sinister look flashed across his eyes. "Mu Hongyan, let's see what you can do this time. If you dare to hurt me, I will take everything away from you." Mrs. Long loved his son dearly, and did not have much of a good impression of Mu Hongyan, because she had always thought that Mu Hongyan was a jinx. Not long after she married his eldest son died. She attributed all of this to Mu Hongyan, and even Nana did not have a good expression. This pair of mother and daughter were despised by her in every aspect of the Long family. If not for Mu Hongyan's excellent talent in business and managing such a large family business for the Long family, he would have been kicked out of the family long ago. This time it was actually Mu Hongyan who brought her lover back to hurt Long Tingyu. Mrs. Long was already extremely angry and only had one thought, to chase this pair of jinx out of the Long family, and definitely not let them stay any longer. Mrs. Long bared his teeth and said, "All right, Mu Hongyan, you are not a woman, I will teach you a good lesson today. Men, aren't you very good at fighting? Let me see how good he is at fighting. Call everyone over and break this brat's legs first. Then I will slowly torture him." Mu Hongyan turned pale with fright. He suppressed the shame and anger in his heart and explained, "Grandma, this is all a misunderstanding, this is all his nonsense, these are the guests of the Long family, you can't do this." "Guest? How come I didn't know that the Long family had such a guest?" Mrs. Long remained unmoved. Mu Hongyan's heart was in a mess. He knew that at this juncture, no matter how he explained, it was useless. A huge battle was unavoidable. All of this was caused by Long Tingyu stirring up trouble, reversing black and white. It was too vicious. Tang Zheng laughed bitterly. What was originally a happy trip had ended up like this, and he was even in danger. It was truly unexpected. He stood in front of Fang Shishir and said in a low voice, "When the fight starts, you wait for the opportunity to leave first. I'll cover the back." "No, I want to fight side by side with you," Fang Shishir said firmly. "Be good, the other party has a lot of people, it's not the time to act on impulse. If someone attacks, you must not be lenient," Tang Jing warned. Fang Shishir bit her lips, wanting to say something but hesitated. In the end, she nodded her head in agreement. She knew that if she stayed, she would only be a burden to Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng then looked at Li Xiaotian and said, "I don't care what you want to do when the fight starts, you have to protect the mother and daughter and leave." Li Xiaotian laughed involuntarily. "Are you really planning to start a war with them? Can we not fight? All of this is because of you. If you didn't involve us in the murder case, how could the situation become like this? Therefore you can't escape the blame. I don't care what kind of organization the Li Palace is, I only hope that you can protect the mother and daughter. Otherwise, even if I become a ghost in the future, I will not let you go." Tang Zheng's face was gloomy. He was definitely not joking. Chapter 210. Li Xiaotian felt Tang Zheng's determination and said with a smile, "Okay, don't worry, I will definitely protect the two of them. Show me your true ability and let me broaden my horizons." Sogu 360 Soso search JDXS to download novels for free. This was her ultimate goal. Tang Zheng coldly harumphed, not caring about her little thoughts. He stepped forward and stood in front of them. Mu Hongyan stared at his back in a daze. He had saved the mother and daughter several times, but this time he was involved in the Long family's disturbance because of them. She couldn't help but feel ashamed and angry. Suddenly she didn't know where she got the courage from, but she actually rushed in front of Tang Zheng and said loudly to the people in front of her, "No one is allowed to move. If you dare to move, you will definitely regret it. If you don't believe me, you can ask the old man. He knows the whole story." At this juncture, only by bringing out Long Shenyuan could they suppress these people. Otherwise, a great battle would be inevitable. As soon as she said this, everyone subconsciously stopped and looked at Madame Long. A trace of panic flashed through Long Tingyu's eyes and he quickly said, "Don't listen to her nonsense, she is just stalling for time. Go go." Madame Long finally chose to believe in her son and shouted, "Everyone go!" Bang, everyone no longer hesitated and rushed towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng quickly pulled Mu Hongyan behind him and shouted, "Go!" Then like a fierce tiger he rushed into the crowd. Most of these people were warriors, most of them were in the body refinement stage, but there was a 5th-grade Hotian expert. This person was tall and strong, and he rushed forward like a bulldozer, crushing all obstacles. In an instant he passed everyone and faced Tang Zheng directly. Tang Zheng's eyes narrowed. He had noticed this person just now because he couldn't see through this big man's cultivation. This meant that the other party was definitely a master in the Hotian stage, and it was obvious that the two people just now couldn't compare to him. A powerful aura surged forth as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. Tang Zheng was completely enveloped by this aura. Tang Zheng had no way out, he could only press forward because if he retreated, the people behind him would be exposed. Thus, with a sword cry, the War Soul Sword suddenly slashed out. Whoosh! A biting cold sword edge attacked the other party. This person clearly did not expect Tang Zheng to use a weapon and reacted in a panic. Tang Zheng's war spirit drew a strange arc and left a deep wound on his opponent's arm. The opponent flew into a rage and threw a punch at Tang Zheng's head. Tang Zheng raised his sword to block the attack. The other party was afraid of harming the innocent, so his attack suddenly changed, and he blasted towards Tang Zheng's chest. The speed of this change was really shocking. However, Tang Zheng had a big fight with Xiao Xiaoling, who was an 8th-grade Hotian master not long ago. Therefore, even if he met such a master in the Hotian stage again, he was not afraid in terms of momentum. Tang Zheng's change was also very fast. The War Soul Sword brushed past the opponent's arm, making the opponent break out in a cold sweat. Even if it didn't cut, the opponent could deeply feel the extraordinariness of this black sword. "Hey boy, I'll let you taste the taste of my war hammer." Suddenly, the opponent roared and pulled out a war hammer from his waist. This war hammer had been inserted in his back waist. At this moment, seeing that he couldn't take down Tang Zheng, he had to use his weapon. Whoosh! The war hammer waved, and the air wave was like a rolling flood, surging towards Tang Zheng, suffocating him. Tang Zheng was aghast and hurriedly used the wind and clouds surging. The strong air wave made him unable to open his eyes. Bang! When the blade of the sword landed on the war hammer, a crack actually appeared on the war hammer. The big man's face turned pale. His war hammer was made of steel, but it was actually split open by the opponent's black sword. This meant that the opponent's black sword was definitely a divine weapon. Tang Zheng was also stunned for a moment. His confidence increased greatly. The War Soul Sword seemed to have changed a little compared to when he first got it. The yin qi was getting thicker and thicker, and the sharpness had also increased. With the divine weapon in hand, Tang Zheng was like a god helping him. He attacked the opponent again. When the others saw this, they didn't dare to get close. A few clever people bypassed him and rushed towards Mu Hongyan and the others. Li Xiaotian and Fang Shishir took the lead and stood at the front. When several enemies rushed up, the two of them attacked one after another. But the two's attack methods were completely different. Fang Shishir only learned magic and didn't learn martial arts. Thus, it was inconvenient for her to use magic. So she used the body lock technique. When a person rushed over, she would point her finger at the person, and the person wouldn't be able to move, turning into a puppet. Although this was the body lock technique, it was disguised as the pressure point technique. Li Xiaoyan's eyes lit up. The pressure point technique could only be done by a Hotian realm martial artist. Could it be that Fang Shishir was also a Hotian realm martial artist? At this time, Li Xiaotian was very curious about who taught Fang Shishir and Tang Zheng. They were actually Hotian realm martial artists in their teens. Fang Shishir's attack was clean and efficient. In a short while, 4 puppet-like people appeared in front of her. Nana clapped her hands. Sister Shishir is so powerful. Do your best, turn them into puppets. The little girl wasn't afraid at all. Instead, she added fuel to the fire. Li Xiaoyan's attack was completely different. She was like a butterfly lightly dancing. Her dance was very beautiful, but the power of her attack was definitely not to be underestimated. The people who rushed over didn't even have time to scream before they fell to the ground, unconscious. Quickly go. Tang Zheng saw this scene and his confidence increased. He hurriedly urged. The few of them rushed towards the door. No one is allowed to leave. Mrs. Long roared and ordered arrogantly. His other subordinates blocked the door like a swarm of bees, blocking their way. Seeing that, Tang Zheng was helpless because he was already entangled by the big-sized man. The big-sized man was afraid of his War Soul Sword, so he used a roundabout strategy. The War Soul Sword was unable to hit him, so he was unable to escape. Stop. Suddenly an angry roar sounded. It was like a sudden clap of thunder on the ground, shaking everyone's eardrums to the point of pain. A hale and hearty figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. If it wasn't the head of the Long family, Long Xinyuan, who else could it be? But at this moment, his gloomy face was like a volcano that was about to erupt. Everyone looked at him and subconsciously stopped. Tang Jing hurriedly returned to Fang Shishir's side to protect them and looked at Long Xinyuan from afar. Li Xiaotian curled her lips in disappointment. She seemed to feel that it was a pity that this battle didn't continue. Who can tell me what is going on? Long Xuanyuan's low voice sounded. Dad, Mu Hongyan colluded with this pretty boy to kill Wang Fuchuan. She even brought this pretty boy back to harm me. Do you see how badly he has hurt me? Long Tingyu, the villain, complained first. He sucked in cold air and shouted at the top of his lungs. Long Xinyuan was furious. His son actually accused his sister-in-law of having an affair. Whether it was true or not, if this spread out, it would be a fatal blow to the Long family's reputation. Long Xinyuan valued his reputation the most, but Long Tingyu wanted to make it known to the whole world. This was simply stabbing Long Xuanyuan's heart with a knife. Shut up. Long Xinyuan shouted as if he couldn't wait to kill him with his own hands. Long Tingyu looked at his father at a loss. He didn't know why his father was so angry at him, but he kept quiet out of fear and didn't dare to say more. Hongyan, what do you think is going on? Long Xinyuan looked at Mu Hongyan and asked. At this moment, Mu Hongyan's face and ears were red. She was ashamed and angry at the same time. Dad, he is talking nonsense. He is slandering me. As soon as I walked out of the house, I heard that he wanted to take Tang Jing away. He said that he was the murderer of Wang Fuchuan. This is slander. I tried to dissuade him, but he said those hurtful words. Mu Hongyan was so angry that she almost fainted. Long Xinyuan had figured out what was going on. He knew his son's character. If it was someone else, he might be suspicious. But Tang Jing was a high school graduate who saved Nana. How could he have Mu Hongyan's Xiao by face? There was no doubt that all this was slander. Madame Long didn't know about this and quickly helped. Master, don't listen to this woman's sophistry. I believe in Tingyu. He must expel this woman from the family. Otherwise, it will be a great insult to our Long family. Madame Long really lived up to the saying, a loving mother makes a bad son. Shut up, look at how you have spoiled your son. Where is the propriety? Long Xinyuan asked. I didn't do anything wrong. If I don't love him, who else will? Madame Long said shamelessly. Long Xinyuan shook his head helplessly. As the saying goes, even an upright official can't solve a family dispute. Although he had profound skills and was in charge of a large family business, he couldn't help but feel powerless in this kind of matter. Dad, I can't stay in this house anymore. I can't stand such slander. I will move out. Mu Hongyan said angrily. It was difficult for her to calm down. Hongyan, why do you have to do this? I will teach this kid a lesson. I believe that he won't dare to do this again. Long Xinyuan persuaded. With his status, he could speak softly to his wife. It could be seen that Mu Hongyan was important in his heart. Mu Hongyan shook her head firmly. No, I will live outside. Madame Long and Long Tingyu looked at each other and were secretly happy. Madame Long thought that she had driven away this scourge. Long Tingyu, on the other hand, thought that they would not be under the same roof in the future. Instead, he would have a chance to make a move. When the time came, he would create an opportunity to take advantage of her. Well, since you can't wait to leave, master, let her go. Our Long family will not force you. It's best if you don't come back in the future. Madame Long said impatiently. Mu Hongyan looked at her mother-in-law's face. Her heart was dead. All these years she had suffered in front of her mother-in-law. What was she doing in this family? Why not leave? Could it be that if she left the Long family she and Nana couldn't live? Absolutely not. She had to leave. Tang Zheng and the others didn't expect that in the end, they would play out such a drama. Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir felt guilty. If they didn't come to Dianan, this family wouldn't be in such a mess. Looking at Mu Hongyan's resolute expression, Long Xinyuan sighed. He was very clear that she was soft on the outside but tough on the inside. This time, Long Tingyu's words had touched her bottom line, which was why she was so resolute. Hongyan, it's good for you to go out and live for a while. Come back after a while. As for this unfilial son, get back to your room. Within a week, you are not allowed to leave this house or I will break your legs. Long Xinyuan glared at Long Tingyu fiercely. He was so scared that he trembled and hurriedly hid behind Madame Long. Chapter 211. Seeing how her husband was threatening her son, Mrs. Long snorted in dissatisfaction and said, "Look at how injured he is and he still dares to be so fierce to him. Mu Hongyan can leave but this brat must stay. He injured our son and in our house, he must be severely punished as a warning to others. Yes, this brat is too arrogant, he dares to come to the Long family and behave atrociously. Father, you must uphold justice for me." Long Tingyu begged, looking at Tang Zheng with eyes full of hatred. Long Xinyuan looked at Tang Zheng, then looked at Nana, gritted his teeth and said, "Tang Zheng has done good to the Long family, but you bastard actually dared to harm him. Where is the reputation of the Long family?" The mother and son were shocked. How could this Xiao Bai have done good to the Long family? It was simply a bunch of nonsense. But no one dared to question the words that came out of Long Xuanyuan's mouth. What did he do to the Long family? Mrs. Long could not help but ask. Long Xinyuan glanced at Li Xiaotian. He had promised Tang Zheng that he would not tell a third party about this matter, so he resolutely said, "You don't need to know about this matter, take your son away for treatment, otherwise do you really want him to become a cripple?" Mrs. Long looked at her son's miserable appearance with a broken hand, and finally said with heartache, "All right, then I'll let him go this time, brat. Next time don't fall into my hands, otherwise I'll make you beg for death." Tang Jing snorted. He was not afraid at all. Long Xinyuan looked at him with shame and said, "Tang Jing, I'm sorry, this time I let you see a joke, fortunately you are not injured." Seeing that Long Xinyuan was reasonable, Tang Jing did not bicker with him, and nodded, indicating that he was not seriously injured. "You can continue to stay here, I guarantee that no one will disturb you," Long Xinyuan promised. Tang Jing looked at Mu Hongyan and said, "No need, we will go to a hotel." Long Xinyuan said embarrassedly, "Why bother?" Tang Jing waved his hand and said, "Master Long, there's no need to persuade me anymore. I'm really sorry for disturbing you today. We'll take our leave first." "Wait, Tang Jing." Mu Hongyan suddenly cried, "I asked you to come to Dianan to play. I haven't done my duty as the host. How can I let you stay in a hotel? Dad, I still have an empty room. I'll bring them to my place." Obviously, Mu Hongyan definitely had more than one residence in the Long family's huge mansion in Dianan, so she was determined to move out. Long Xinyuan hesitated for a moment and nodded helplessly. "All right then, Hongyan, you treat them well and thank them for everything they have done for the Long family." "I know." Mu Hongyan nodded solemnly. "Nana, Grandpa will visit you in the future. Remember to listen to your mother, okay?" Long Xinyuan hugged Nana and said intimately. At this moment he finally showed his kind side. Obviously he was very close to Nana. Nana rubbed her pink face against her grandfather's face and said in a childish voice, "Grandpa, don't worry, Nana will definitely listen to Mother, and with Brother Godly Doctor accompanying me, Nana will be very obedient." Long Xinyuan looked at Tang Zheng and smiled kindly. "Nana is so obedient." Li Xiaotian looked at this scene thoughtfully. The relationship between Tang Zheng and the Long family was really complicated. Tang Zheng actually helped the Long family. What exactly was this kindness? Hey, it's getting more and more interesting. "Tang Zheng, if I don't know everything about you, I won't give up. Miss Li, you can stay in the Long family. The Long family will definitely treat you well." Long Xinyuan said to Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian smiled and shook her head. No, I will go with them. Madame Long, I wonder if you welcome me? Mu Hongyan looked at Li Xiaotian in surprise and said, Miss Li Xiaotian's identity is noble, it's best for you to stay in the Long family. Li Xiaotian glanced at Tang Zheng and shook her head. If I stay here, I don't know anyone. It's better to go with you. Tang Zheng coldly glared at Li Xiaotian. This woman was like a ghost that refused to disperse. She was too shameless. Old Master Long, I won't disturb you, but I can be sure of one thing, Tang Jing really has nothing to do with Wang Fuchuan's death. You can go find the cold-faced killer Xiao Xiaoling and ask him who did it. Li Xiaotian betrayed Xiao Xiaoling in the blink of an eye. At that time she promised not to tell anyone. She didn't expect that she would go back on her word in less than a day. This woman's words really couldn't be trusted at all. Immediately Tang Zheng was even more vigilant against her, but fortunately she told the truth and completely cleared the suspicion of Tang Zheng. Long Shenyuan frowned and said, He actually did it. Thank you for telling me, Miss Li. I will go find him and investigate clearly. He dared to kill the people of the Long family. He ate a leopard's guts. While speaking, an imposing aura suddenly burst out, making people's heart palpitate. Dad, Wang Fuchuan's death may be related to the recent incident. Mu Hongyan reminded, then looked at Tang Zheng and the other two and didn't say much. I understand. Long Xianyuan didn't want to be entangled in this topic. Mu Hongyan and the others left the Long family by car. Two pairs of resentful eyes watched their car disappear in the vast traffic. Not long after, they arrived at their new residence, a small lakeside villa next to a park. Although it was not as magnificent as the Long family, there were trees and water, fresh air and pleasant scenery. Mu Hongyan introduced, This house was where Nana's father and I lived. Since his death, I only came here occasionally for a period of time. But Luma has been staying here so we can live here at any time. While speaking, Luma had already come out to greet them. She was very happy to know that the mistress was coming back to live. When she saw Tang Zheng, she couldn't hide her surprise. She had seen Tang Zheng several times when she was in ordinary balance. She didn't understand Tang Zheng's identity, but she knew how important Tang Zheng was to Mu Hongyan. She didn't know why he came to Dianan again. Let's go, I'll arrange a room for you. Mu Hongyan took the initiative to say. Her face was a little more calm and relaxed than before, and she led them to arrange a room. Fang Shishir was embarrassed to stay in the same room with Tang Zheng in public, so the three of them arranged 3 rooms. After lunch, Mu Hongyan personally took them to the most prosperous high-end shopping mall. Because their luggage was left on the train, they had to buy all their daily necessities and clothes again. Tang Zheng rarely went shopping. It was the first time in his life to accompany 3 beautiful women with different styles and a little girl like a porcelain doll to go shopping. When they got off the train, there was no doubt that they attracted almost everyone's attention, regardless of men, women, old or young. Tang Zheng stood in the middle, with Fang Shishir holding his arm, like a green leaf among thousands of flowers, and also received countless gazes. Please recommend. Chapter 212. Even though Tang Zheng's face was thick enough, when he saw the dazzling array of women's underwear, he still couldn't help but blush a little. Welcome, please feel free to choose whatever you need. The salesperson warmly welcomed them, her eyes resting on Fang Shishir's face as she said in her heart, What a beautiful girl. The two of them wanted to retreat but it was too late, and Mu Hongyan and the other 2 were also following them so they could only brace themselves and move forward. In an instant, the underwear store seemed to have added a dazzling luster. These 3 beauties with different styles were really dazzling. Nana excitedly clapped her hands and said, These clothes are so beautiful, Nana also wants them. Mu Hongyan hurriedly stopped Nana, faintly smiling, infinitely flirtatious. Many of the men who accompanied their wives to the underwear store were originally dizzy and incomparably embarrassed. When they heard this, they all raised their heads, their eyes shining as if they had been injected with chicken blood as they stared at these people. Great beauties and 3 great beauties, it was too good for the eyes. Since they were already here, they might as well make the best of it. If they turned around now, they would definitely be ridiculed by Li Xiaotian, so Tang Zheng pretended to be calm and said, Shishir, you go and choose. Fang Shishir's charming face was slightly red. Although she and Tang Zheng already had skin-to-skin contact, it was still difficult to hide her shyness in front of so many people to choose underwear. Mu Hongyan smiled as she looked at the couple, held Nana's hand and naturally started to choose. Li Xiaotian's reaction was the biggest. It was her first time in the underwear store, just like Granny Lu entering the Grand View Garden. Looking at these beautiful underwear, she wasn't shy, instead she was like a flower butterfly shuttling back and forth, exclaiming from time to time, "Wow, this is so beautiful, it would definitely look good in it. This is also not bad." After a while, she took out several bras and placed them in front of her chest, then said to Tang Jing, "Handsome Tang, which one do you think looks good on me?" Oh. Tang Jing almost had a nosebleed. "Why are you asking me? Besides, it's really tempting to hold a bra in front of your chest like that, you know?" Several men nearby were already staring blankly, causing their girlfriends to fly into a rage. Li Xiaotian, the culprit, acted as if he didn't see it. He pursed his lips and snickered. He walked straight to Tang Jing and asked, "What do you think? Say something?" Tang Jing glanced at Fang Shishir's face, which was gradually turning hostile. He quickly turned his head away and ignored her. This woman was too vicious. She was constantly trying to sow discord. Coincidentally, Fang Shishir also chose a bra. She dragged Tang Jing into a fitting room and said, "Come in with me to try it on." She looked at Li Xiaotian provocatively. When the others saw Tang Jing being dragged into the fitting room, they were jealous. It was too tempting and happy to accompany such a beautiful woman to try on underwear. In the narrow fitting room, Tang Jing and Fang Shishir looked at each other. Fang Shishir pulled him in purely to fight back against Li Xiaotian's provocation, but after they came in they couldn't help but feel shy. She pulled Tang Jing to try on underwear in front of everyone. What would others think? What would they think of her? Tang Jing didn't notice her embarrassment and urged a little impatiently, "Hurry up and take off your clothes. If you don't take them off, how can you try them on?" Fang Shishir glanced at him and whispered, "You'd better go out. It's embarrassing." Tang Jing smiled and said, "You pulled me in and then asked me to go out. How can I do that? Besides, it's not like I haven't seen it before." As he spoke, his eyes stared straight at her full breasts. Fang Shishir was too ashamed to show her face. She quickly covered his mouth with her hand and said, "Don't say it. Don't say it. It's so embarrassing." "Well, then I won't say it. I'll just look. If you keep dawdling, others will think that we are doing something inside. I'm afraid the salespeople will knock on the door." Tang Jing smiled evilly. Looking at him like this, Fang Shishir knew that he was up to no good. She couldn't help but glare at him fiercely and helplessly began to take off her clothes. "Do you need my help? I'm very willing to help others." Tang Jing volunteered his services. "No, I'll do it myself. You're not allowed to touch me." Fang Shishir's eyes were almost dripping water. Her body was particularly sensitive. As long as Tang Jing touched her, it would be difficult for her to maintain her inner firmness. If he did something inside, then how would she face Mu Hongyan and the others in the future? Fang Shishir took off her shirt. She was wearing a t-shirt. After taking it off, her full breasts and flat stomach were exposed. "Don't look." Seeing that Tang Jing's eyes were about to sink into the snow-white gap, Fang Shishir quickly hugged her chest. She was hugging the pipa and covering half of her face. She was even more charming and seductive. Tang Jing's nose almost bled. Although he had seen this pair of treasures before, he had never seen it in this kind of situation. There was no doubt that there were many people outside staring at the fitting room, guessing what kind of charming thing was happening inside. It was equivalent to the two people doing these things in broad daylight under the watchful eyes of many people. The excitement was incomparable. Feeling his burning gaze of aggression, Fang Shishir's breathing involuntarily quickened. She muttered, "Don't look at me like that. I'll be embarrassed." At this time, how could he not look and not look? Tang Jing not only looked but also wanted to make a move. "What are you doing? There are people outside. What if they hear us?" "I'm taking off your clothes. I'm not doing anything else," Tang Jing said seriously. But no matter how you listened, it sounded like a lie. Fang Shishir was helpless and could only let him do whatever he wanted. With a snap sound, the bra button was skillfully unbuttoned by Tang Jing. Fang Shishir quickly hugged her chest and said in a mosquito-like voice, "I'll do it myself." "It's okay. I'm very helpful." Tang Jing reached out his hands, grabbed the bra from behind and slowly pulled it off. The pair of full breasts fell into Tang Jing's demonic hands. Fang Shishir let out a cry of surprise and hurriedly covered her mouth, afraid that the people outside would hear. In this way, Tang Jing completely controlled the pair of treasures. Fang Shishir's body went soft like water and was about to melt. She breathed out like orchids and weakly begged for mercy, "Tang Jing, stop messing around. Otherwise, others will hear." Tang Jing blew a breath in her ear and said, "Who told you to stay alone when we were assigned rooms today? Didn't we agree that the two of us would live together?" Fang Shishir blushed and was incomparably shy. It's not good to let Sister Wuxia staying in the same room. Tang Jing said indifferently, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. What's wrong with staying in the same room? Moreover, you pulled me in this time. Don't tell me she still doesn't know how far our relationship has progressed? Fang Shishir was shocked. She only cared about Li Xiaotian and did not think of this. Promise me that you'll open the door for me tonight. Otherwise I won't let go. Tang Jing threatened naughtily. You're bullying people. Yes, I'm bullying you. But Fang Shishir said coquettishly. Really? I think I'm pretty good. Tang Jing tightened his grip and Fang Shishir let out a suppressed cry of surprise from her throat. She quickly begged for mercy. Okay, I promise you. Stop messing around, okay? Seeing her delicate and pitiful appearance, if it weren't for the fact that they were in front of everyone, he really wanted to do her. He let go of his hand and said, I said I would help. Of course I will do as I say. Tang Jing no longer teased her and properly put on a bra for her. Fang Shishir supported herself against the wall, otherwise she would have fallen down. Tang Jing teased her until her entire body was sore and weak. How does it feel? Tang Jing considerately asked. Fang Shishir nodded and urged, it's okay. Let's quickly go out. Otherwise, others will think we're doing something inside. Tang Jing laughed, let them think. It's none of our business anyway. Really, stop messing around. Okay, I'll help you put on your own bra. Tang Jing was very honest this time. He put on the bra and then helped her put on the t-shirt. Fang Shishir was tightly wrapped. Only then did she relax. She patted her chest and fiercely glared at Tang Jing and said, you big bad guy. As she said this, she grabbed Tang Jing's waist. Tang Jing hurriedly said, if you dare to grab, I dare to scream. What do you think people outside will think we're doing? Fang Shishir's movement stiffened. She helplessly stopped and said, I'll deal with you tonight. I'll be the one to deal with you tonight. Tang Jing shrugged, not afraid in the slightest. With a kacha sound, the door to the fitting room opened. The two walked out. Tang Jing acted as if nothing had happened. His face was calm. Fang Shishir was not as thick-skinned as him. Her face was as red as a peach blossom, causing people to have wild and fanciful thoughts. Many men stared at Tang Jing with red eyes. This beast, he actually did something bad in the fitting room. That feeling must be very ecstatic. Li Xiaotian walked over and casually said, excuse me. You've been in there for so long. I don't know what bad things you've done. When Fang Shishir heard this, she was so ashamed that she wanted to crawl into a hole. Tang Jing was not afraid in the slightest and said, yo, you're jealous, right? So sour. Do you want me to accompany you in? If you want to accompany me, just say it. I'm a very helpful person. Let's go. Let's go in. Li Xiaotian's charming face turned red. She was a virgin and would occasionally be a bit valiant in this aspect. However, she was not as thick-skinned as Tang Jing. She reprimanded, scram. Then she ran back into the fitting room. Tang Jing was like a victorious soldier. Little guy, you want to fight with me? I'm a man. Do you think I'm afraid of you? When the other men saw him openly flirt with other beauties in front of his girlfriend, they really admired him. Unlike them, when they looked at other beauties, their girlfriends would glare at them coldly. Mu Hongyan frowned and looked at Tang Jing. After hesitating for a moment, she said, Tang Jing, Li Xiaotian's identity is not ordinary. You should try not to have too big of a conflict with her. Tang Jing was shocked and said, how big is Li Palace's strength? How much influence does it have on the outside world? Mu Hongyan originally thought that Tang Jing understood Li Palace very well. However, she did not know that he was completely blind. She hurriedly said, one palace, one sect, and one hall are the three most mysterious places in the world. Li Palace is the place that outsiders are most familiar with. This is because Li Palace's ability to gather information is the most comprehensive in the world. Correspondingly, it has the most contact with the outside world. Chapter 213. Tang Jing could not help but have a new understanding of the Li Palace, and hurriedly asked, where is the Li Palace? Since the Li Palace was the place that collected the most comprehensive information, then maybe they knew where the cultivators went, or where the conflict between the martial artists and the cultivators came from. Pose Mu Hongyan shook her head. Since it is a mysterious place, then of course the average person would not know where it is. If you want to know, then it is best to ask her directly. Mu Hongyan pointed at Li Xiaotian, who walked out. Tang Jing bitterly smiled. Prying open Li Xiaotian's mouth was easier said than done. What are you saying about me? Li Xiaotian frowned and asked. Tang Jing glanced at the bra in her hand and said, "We are saying that with your airport shape, do you still need to wear this thing?" Li Xiaotian was furious. "You are the airport shape." Tang Jing shrugged. "I am an airport shape. It is normal for a man to be an airport shape, but for a woman it is not normal." "How am I an airport shape? My chest is so big, wearing this is just right." Li Xiaotian argued. "Is it big? How come I don't see it? If you have the guts to take it off and prove it." Tang Jing provoked. Since Li Xiaotian was always like a ghost, then why not just make her angry and leave? Li Xiaotian fiercely glared at Tang Jing, then suddenly had an idea and said, "I already said that men are not good things. On the train you took advantage of me, and now you want to see my chest." When these words came out, the surrounding women all glared at him. This guy was too shameless. He had already taken advantage of her, and now he made such a vulgar request. The men wanted to beat their feet and beat their chests. How could this brat be so lucky? Not only did he have a beautiful girlfriend, but he could also casually take advantage of other beauties. Tang Zheng was greatly embarrassed. This woman really dared to say anything. Fang Shishir blushed and pulled Tang Zheng to the cashier to pay. Li Xiaotian immediately followed, put the bra on the cashier, and said without any trace of politeness, "Pay for me too." Tang Jing rolled his eyes. "Why should I pay for you? I said that I am penniless. If not you, who will pay?" Li Xiaotian retorted. "Who wants to pay? I will not pay. I have known you for less than a day, and haven't you harmed me enough? How can I pay you? No way." "Stingy? How can a man be so stingy? Who said that men can't be stingy?" Seeing the two of them arguing, many men said in their hearts, "I will pay for it to buy a bra for a beautiful woman. What a great blessing this is." Mu Hongyan came over with a smile, shook her head and said, "You two don't quarrel. You are my guests, of course I will pay. How can I let you pay when you come to Dianan?" Then she handed over a bank card to settle the bill. Then they went to buy other clothes and daily necessities. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian were still tit for tat, sparks flying everywhere. Finally it was not easy to return home and stop. As night fell, the small villa near the water was particularly quiet, and people's hearts could not help but settle down. Tang Jing lay in bed for a long time, guessing that the others should be asleep, and then he tiptoed out of bed, opened the door and walked to Fang Shishir's room. When he passed by Mu Hongyan's room, he couldn't help but stop because he heard a burst of stifled sobbing coming from her room. If it wasn't for his amazing hearing and coincidentally passing by the door, he wouldn't have heard the sobbing at all. His heart trembled. Could it be that something had happened to Mu Hongyan? Otherwise, why was she so sad? He didn't intend to meddle in other people's business, but thinking about her careful care today, he still couldn't bear it and decided to find out. Knock knock. He knocked on the door. The crying stopped abruptly. "Who is it?" "It's me." With a creak, the door opened. Mu Hongyan looked at Tang Zheng with red eyes and forced a smile. "What's the matter?" Tang Jing asked with concern. "Did something happen?" "I heard you crying." Mu Hongyan said awkwardly, "It's nothing." Tang Jing moved and asked, "Is it because of what happened to Long Tingyu during the day?" Mu Hongyan let out a long sigh and said faintly, "It's all in the past." Tang Jing couldn't help but be a little angry. Long Tingyu didn't hide his mouth and wantonly slandered others. "Don't be sad. It's not worth it to be sad over the words of such a person." "I know, Tang Jing. Thank you. You should rest early." Mu Hongyan's mood was still not high. Tang Zheng looked left and right, but there was no trace of Li Xiaotian. This woman had been following him like a tail, so he didn't have time to talk to Mu Hongyan alone. Why not take this opportunity to ask her about her husband? "I have something to talk to you about. Is it convenient?" Tang Jing asked. Mu Hongyan was startled for a moment, then nodded. "Then come in." The two of them entered the room and saw Mu Hongyan wearing a silk nightgown. The scenery inside was faintly discernible and extremely alluring. Tang Zheng immediately abandoned all distracting thoughts, but his gaze was involuntarily attracted by a piece of writing. "Under the heavens." These two words were exactly the same as the two words he saw in Mu Hongyan's room when he was in ordinary balance. Moreover, they were also hung on the bed. Lying on the bed, he could see it at a glance. That kind of magnificent aura still hit him in the face. Mu Hongyan followed his gaze and said, "When I came back from ordinary balance, I also brought it back." Tang Jing nodded and went straight to the point. "Actually, this time I came to Dianan. In addition to sightseeing, there is another matter." Mu Hongyan quietly listened and motioned for him to continue. "The culprit who hurt Nana that year has been found by me," Tang Jing said in an earth-shattering manner. This sentence caused Mu Hongyan's expression to change greatly. She couldn't help but stand up and impatiently ask, "Where is the murderer?" Tang Jing lightly said, "I have already killed him." "Who is he?" "Daoist Tianji." Tang Jing told the truth. He stared straight at Mu Hongyan, wanting to see if there was any change in her hearing this name. Mu Hongyan was at a loss. It was obvious that she had never heard of this name before. Sure enough, she asked doubtfully, "Who is this person? Why did he want to harm Nana?" Tang Jing did not directly answer. Instead he asked, "I'll take the liberty to ask a question. How much do you know about your husband?" Mu Hongyan's expression fluctuated as she said, "I know him very well." "Oh, then is he a martial artist?" Mu Hongyan shook her head, "No. Long Tingyu is a martial artist of the 8th grade refining body. Moreover, your father-in-law is a top-notch expert. Why is your husband not a martial artist?" Tang Jing asked curiously. Mu Hongyan's expression had a trace of vigilance. She looked at Tang Jing and lightly said, "I am not a martial artist. I don't understand these things." She was lying. Tang Jing asserted. Although her lying ability was very high and there were almost no obvious flaws, Tang Jing still concluded that she was lying. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said, "Then let me change the question. How did your husband die?" Mu Hongyan's eyes flashed with a trace of pain and said, "He was killed." "Have you caught the murderer?" Mu Hongyan shook her head. "The murderer is too cunning. There have been no clues." "Then if I say that the murderer is the one who hurt Nana, would you believe me?" "What, it's the same person?" Mu Hongyan was shocked. "Why did he kill my husband and hurt Nana?" "If you don't tell the truth, I'm afraid I won't be able to tell you the reason." Mu Hongyan's gaze turned cold as she stared fixedly at Tang Jing. From the beginning she could not see through Tang Jing. Although she was greatly indebted to Tang Jing, this conversation still made her somewhat vigilant. "Tang Jing, I don't quite understand what you mean. Your husband was not a martial artist, but his strength was not inferior to a martial artist. I don't know if I'm right?" Mu Hongyan's eyebrows jumped. Her eyes flashed with unconcealable surprise and horror. Then she quickly looked away and said, "Tang Jing, I don't know what you mean by that. I've already said it so clearly. Do you still want to hide it?" Mu Hongyan bit her lip and hesitated for a long time before saying, "Tang Jing, I am very grateful that you saved Nana and even killed the murderer. No matter what, I can't repay your kindness. But your words still make me very confused. I don't know how to answer you." Tang Jing secretly sighed. It seemed that her vigilance was not ordinary. Since it was like this, then he could only use a strong medicine. The murderer is the same kind of person as your husband. He killed him in order to steal the treasure in his hands. Tang Jing threw out a heavy bomb. Mu Hongyan's eyes instantly widened. Her legs went soft and she actually fell into a chair. "How is that possible?" Tang Jing looked at her with a smile that was not a smile. These words finally caused her to have a violent reaction. It seemed that she was very clear that her husband was a cultivator and that cultivators were different in this world. Therefore she was so careful. Even if Tang Jing was her benefactor, she did not dare to speak carelessly. "Anything is possible. It seems that you also know about your husband. This group of people killed him for the treasure, but did not obtain the treasure. So in order to vent their anger, they burned Nana. Why are they so ruthless? We have no enmity with him. Why would he do this to our family?" Mu Hongyan bitterly muttered to herself. "This person is deranged. To him, killing is a trivial matter." Tang Jing lightly said. Mu Hongyan suddenly raised her head and asked, "How do you know these things?" "Of course it was the murderer who told me before he died. But you can rest assured that I have no enmity towards you. Otherwise I would not have saved Nana. Moreover, I also like Nana very much." Mu Hongyan became more and more vigilant towards Tang Jing. After all, this matter was very important. Even if Tang Jing was her benefactor, she did not dare completely trust him. From her eyes, Tang Jing could already read her thoughts. But he did not care. If it was anyone else, they would have the same reaction as her. "Your husband is a cultivator. Who else knows this secret?" "Cultivator?" Mu Hongyan's lips trembled. It had been many years since she heard these two words. These two words were like a nightmare. Because of this identity, her happiness had turned into nothing. Chapter 214. Mu Hongyan looked at Tang Jing in horror. The word cultivator was like a bolt from the blue, causing her brain to temporarily forget to think. After a long time she recovered and asked, "How do you know about cultivators? What is your identity?" Tang Jing smiled and said, neither too fast nor too slow. You don't need to be nervous, you have seen my family's situation, so you should know what my identity is. Naturally I am not your enemy. It's just that I happen to know about cultivators. No wonder you are so vigilant. After all, cultivators are different in the eyes of others. Mu Hongyan recalled the process of meeting Tang Jing. Tang Jing really did not have any bad intentions towards her. Instead he selflessly helped her. It seems that she was too cautious. Tang Jing, I'm sorry my reaction was too extreme, but this matter is of great importance. I have no choice but to be cautious. Mu Hongyan finally eased her tone and said. Tang Jing nodded to express his understanding. But how do you know about cultivators? You are a martial artist, don't you see cultivators as your mortal enemy? Mu Hongyan asked doubtfully. Mortal enemy? Tang Jing snorted. In this world there are many martial artists who do not even know about the existence of cultivators. What mortal enemy is there? Moreover, cultivators do not threaten martial artists. Is there a need to be so antagonistic like fire and water? Degrees Celsius's all equal to Mu Hongyan was stunned. She did not expect Tang Jing to say such rebellious words. As for how I know about cultivators? If I tell you the truth, can you promise me that you will not reveal it to others? Tang Jing's face became serious. If he wanted to obtain the magic weapon left by her husband, he must gain the other party's trust, and revealing his identity as a cultivator was undoubtedly a good method. Moreover, her husband was a cultivator, she should be able to accept Tang Jing's identity. Mu Hongyan also became serious, seriously looking at Tang Jing. She promised, if you believe me, I will naturally keep your secret. Of course I believe you. The corners of Tang Jing's mouth curled up. Actually, I'm the same as your husband. I'm also a cultivator. What? You're also a cultivator? Even though Mu Hongyan had been through countless big scenes and had long developed a character that remained indifferent, when she heard this sentence she still couldn't stop her heart from pounding. Her mind spun quickly, and many of her previous doubts were easily solved. No wonder Tang Jing was so unfathomable at such a young age. He was actually a cultivator. The most important thing was the miraculous life-prolonging pill. Even the king of medicine did not know how to make it, but Tang Jing easily took out 2 of them. All this could only be explained by the identity of a cultivator. Tang Jing nodded affirmatively. Now you know that I mean you no harm, right? I am also an anomaly in the eyes of others. Mu Hongyan indignantly said, this is all prejudice. We're all human. Why should cultivators be discriminated against just because they're different? Tang Jing secretly rejoiced. It seems that because of her husband being ostracized, she had a strong sense of identification with him. Thank you for saying this, but in this world there are too many people who hold prejudice, so I have no choice but to carefully hide my identity. Mu Hongyan's expression darkened as she recalled a distant memory. She muttered to herself, in the past he was also as careful as you. He didn't want others to find out. Even his father didn't know, but he told me because we trusted each other. Others thought that he was a cripple who didn't know any martial arts, but I knew that his heart was higher than the heavens. Mu Hongyan said as she looked at the words on the wall. He became a cultivator by chance. When others laughed at him, he silently cultivated. He believed that one day he would be able to soar into the sky and let everyone who looked down on him see how powerful he was. Mu Hongyan was completely immersed in her memories. Tang Jing didn't disturb her and only quietly listened. But all of this changed after he found a magic treasure. I don't know what kind of magic treasure he found, but before he could share this joy with me he was killed. Was the person who killed him also a cultivator? Yes, a pair of master and disciple coveted his magic treasure. They killed him and stole it, but in the end they didn't succeed, so they found you and your mother to vent their anger. Too despicable and shameless. That's right, before you left ordinary balance, the person who attacked you and your mother was that disciple. It's him. Mu Hongyan still remembered that she was kidnapped, and it was also thanks to Tang Jing that she was saved. Later his master Taoist Tianji found out that his disciple had died in ordinary balance and hurried over to find me. I spent a lot of effort to get rid of him. Mu Hongyan's expression finally changed. She gratefully said, Tang Jing, you helped us get revenge. I don't know how to repay you. Tang Jing smiled. Nana and I are fated. Besides, your husband is also a cultivator. This is also a kind of fate. Avenging him can be considered a good thing. Then you said that there was another purpose in coming to Dianan. What is it? Magic treasure. The whereabouts of the magic treasure your husband got is unknown, so I want to find it. Tang Jing said frankly. Magic treasure again. Mu Hongyan raised her eyebrows. Her husband died because of the magic treasure. She didn't expect that Tang Zheng would come because of the magic treasure again. I'll tell you the truth. My cultivation is not very high, so I need this magic treasure. In exchange, you can make any request. I will do my best to fulfill it. Everyone was familiar with each other. Tang Zheng obviously couldn't rob her. Mu Hongyan shook her head. I already said it. He didn't have time to tell me what magic treasure it was, and he didn't even tell me where the magic treasure was before he met with an accident. Mu Hongyan's eyes were firm. She didn't lie. Tang Zheng couldn't help but feel gloomy. Could it be that this time he had to return empty-handed? The mysterious level magic treasure was very important to Tang Zheng. Then did he leave any clues? Tang Zheng didn't give up and asked. Mu Hongyan thought for a moment and said uncertainly, I don't know about this. In the past he liked to lock himself in the training room. If he left a clue, maybe it's in the training room. Tang Zheng's head rekindled with hope. He said, Then can you take me to the training room to take a look? Mu Hongyan didn't rush to answer. Instead she said, Tang Zheng, you saved me and Nana many times. If you find this magic treasure, it wouldn't be too much to give it to you. But I still have a presumptuous request. Tang Zheng didn't want to reap without sowing, so he didn't feel disgusted. He said, Please speak. Nana is still young. I want her to inherit her father's will and become a cultivator in the future. Mu Hongyan said firmly. Tang Zheng was shocked when he heard this. Cultivators are different in other people's eyes. Their future path is destined to not be smooth. Why do you want her to walk this path? Her grandfather is a top expert. If she learns martial arts from him, she will definitely have great achievements in the future. Mu Hongyan didn't waver. She said, No, she is her father's daughter. Inheriting her father's will is her responsibility. So what if she is different? She can also shine. Tang Zheng couldn't help but be infected by her tone. This woman wasn't a cultivator, but she had this kind of courage. It was really rare. Okay, I promise you. Whether or not I can find the magic treasure, I will let Nana become a cultivator. Moreover, when I healed Nana, she already had a trace of power in her body. In the future, her cultivation will be twice the result with half the effort. This was a blessing in disguise for Nana. Although she had suffered for so many years, ever since Tang Zheng broke the curse technique, she had a trace of power in her body. Maybe it was predestined. The little girl's path had already been arranged. She was destined to become a cultivator just like her father. Mu Hongyan's expression became excited. Thank you, Tang Zheng. Let's go to the training room. Walking out of the room, he found that there was another person in the corridor, Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian turned his head and saw that Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan had actually walked out of the room together. Furthermore, both of them were wearing pajamas. He couldn't help but be dumbstruck. He was even more surprised than if he had seen a ghost. You. She pointed at the two of them. You're actually together. In the middle of the night, a single man and a single woman were in the same room. It was too confusing. Could it be that what Long Tingyu said was true, that the two of them really had an affair? Tang Zheng was too much of a beast, he didn't even let the young woman go. But that's right. This young woman is too tempting. Ordinary men would find it hard to resist her charm. Mu Hongyan saw that he had been misunderstood and was extremely embarrassed. Just as he was about to explain, he saw Li Xiaotian quickly return to his room. However, he didn't forget to glare at Tang Zheng and open his mouth. Tang Zheng recognized that she had scolded him with the word beast. Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. This woman was really meddling in other people's business. I didn't do anything, so what right do you have to scold me? Scold me for being a beast. Be careful that I don't do anything to you someday. Mu Hongyan said awkwardly, she must have misunderstood. I'll explain it to her tomorrow. Tang Zheng said indifferently, there's no need to pay attention to her. The more you explain, the more she feels that we are guilty. In any case, this has nothing to do with her. She can't care about it. Mu Hongyan chuckled. You have a lot of conflict with her. Tang Zheng took the opportunity to explain what had happened on the train. Tell me, is there a need for me to give her a good face when she casually framing a good person? The people of Li Palace have always been proud and arrogant. This is their style of doing things. Mu Hongyan explained. Tang Zheng shook his head. I don't care what style they are. She better not provoke me. Otherwise, I don't care if she is Li Palace's martial sect. I will take care of her. Li Xiaotian and Tang Zheng were about the same age. Tang Zheng had seen her fight before. Although he couldn't see what cultivation level she was at, he was confident that even if the two of them fell out, he would still have a way to protect himself. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of her. Mu Hongyan had a whole new level of respect for him. Who knows how many people in this world are afraid of Li Palace, but you are not afraid at all. You really are young and promising. As they spoke, the two of them had already arrived at the training room. This training room was in the basement. Above them was a large piece of transparent glass. On top of it there was a ripple of light. The basement was actually at the bottom of the lake. It must have taken a lot of effort to build it. Tang Jing suddenly realized that cultivating at the bottom of the lake could not only hide his identity, but he could also continuously absorb spiritual energy from the lake. It was killing two birds with one stone. Chapter 215. The practice room was not big and the light shone on the transparent glass, making the water ripple, giving off a mysterious and tranquil beauty. Sogu 360, So. Tang Jing began to search, but the room did not have any cabinets or other places to store things. It was simply empty. Seeing that he had already searched twice but still found nothing, Mu Hongyan said, "Ever since my husband passed away I have rarely come to this room, but I have not touched a single brick or piece of wood in here." Tang Jing stopped and lowered his head in contemplation. Magic treasures were very important things, so of course they would not be placed in an open place. He suspected that the heavenly secret Taoist had also secretly infiltrated this home and searched everywhere, so naturally he would not have let go of this practice room. But the other side was like him, not finding anything, which meant that magic treasures were not easy to find. Could it be that the magic treasures are in other places? Tang Jing was puzzled and asked, "Does he have other places that he often stays in?" Mu Hongyan shook her head. "He spends most of his time cultivating in the practice room." "That's strange. I've already searched twice and did not miss a single detail, so why haven't I found a single clue?" Tang Jing shook his head in puzzlement. Could it be that he hid the magic treasures in other places? Or could it be that I am not fated to find this magic treasure? Tang Jing could not help but feel a little discouraged. If he continued to search like this, there would be no need for him to do so. Even if it was daybreak, it would only make Li Xiaotian suspicious. He shook his head in disappointment and no longer searched, leaving the practice room with Mu Hongyan. "Tang Jing, I'm sorry, but I really do not have any other useful information to provide," Mu Hongyan said in shame. Tang Jing casually said, "Magic treasures are something that can only be found by chance. Don't worry, I will still teach Nana techniques, but with Li Xiaotian here, I'm afraid she will find out. So when Nana grows up a bit, I will personally teach her the method of cultivation." Mu Hongyan smiled in relief. "Thank you." After the two of them separated, Tang Jing quietly sneaked into Fang Shishi's room. Tang Jing truthfully told her about his conversation with Mu Hongyan. Fang Shishi advised him not to worry about it. Then, after a round of passionate lovemaking, she soothed his soul and fell into a deep sleep. In the next few days they were not idle. Under the leadership of Mu Hongyan, they toured the mountains and rivers of southern Yunnan. The scenery in Dianan was indeed beautiful. It preserved the most natural scenery, which made Tang Jing and Fang Shishi, two people who had lived in the city since childhood, very happy. Tang Jing also temporarily put aside the disappointment of not finding a magic treasure and immersed himself in the mountains and rivers. He found a clue. The spiritual energy in the mountains and rivers was obviously much richer than in the city, even more abundant than in the ordinary Balance Mountain. If it weren't for Li Xiaotian watching from the side, he planned to use the spirit gathering pill to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the mountains and quietly cultivate for a period of time. Today they drove to the highest and most dangerous fairy peak in southern Yunnan. It was said that in ancient times, fairies descended to this place, which was how the mountain got its name. The fairy peak was steep and there was only one winding road up the mountain. Tourists were weaving, but most of them were using vehicles. There were only a few people who hiked up the mountain. Tang Jing and the others of course went up the mountain by car. After looking around they saw that it was already late, so they went down the mountain by car. Mu Hongyan personally drove and Tang Jing sat in the passenger seat, holding Nana in his arms. This girl was more and more clingy to Tang Jing, and she wanted to hang on him all the time. She had more authority than Fang Shishi, his official girlfriend. However, no one cared about this child. Instead they thought she was very cute. The car drove at a constant speed. There was a curve in front of them. Suddenly there was a violent crash. Then everyone in the car felt like they were about to fly. "Be careful," Tang Jing shouted. From the rearview mirror he saw a huge off-road vehicle hit the butt of their car. "There's a car accident." Mu Hongyan also noticed this and quickly shouted, "Everyone don't panic." The people in the car were not ordinary people. Except for the initial panic, they didn't make a fuss. Our car is still sliding forward. Be careful. Tang Jing reminded, and Mu Hongyan hurriedly stepped on the brakes, but the car's forward momentum still did not stop, because the off-road vehicle behind them was like a roaring beast, pressing against their cars. But as it rushed forward, the tires rubbed against the ground, creating several black tire marks. In the blink of an eye, their car was pushed to the edge of the cliff at the curve and hit the railing hard. Their hearts sank. This was not a car accident, but a well-planned assassination. They wanted to knock them off the cliff. Tang Jing was shocked and shouted, "Shishir, quickly open the door and jump out." Fang Shishir's reaction was very fast, but Li Xiaoyan's reaction was faster than hers. He had already unbuckled his seat belt, kicked open the deformed door and rushed out like a leopard. Bang bang. 2 muffled gunshots sounded and the others were shocked. The assassin actually used a gun. This determination was too great. "Shishir, be careful of the gun." Tang Jing reminded her. Fang Shishir shouted, "Understood," and rushed out of the car. A bullet just happened to fall on the door. If she was a second later, she would definitely be hit by the bullet. These people are not ordinary people, Tang Jing thought, but he didn't have time to think about who sent the other party and who the target was. The only thought in his mind now was to escape. It was not difficult for him to escape, but it was not so easy for Mu Hongyan. After all, she didn't know martial arts. In her panic, she didn't even have time to unbuckle her seat belt. Then, with a loud bang, the car slammed into the railing, and half of it was suspended in the air. Mu Hongyan's side of the door was severely deformed because of the impact, and the huge impact made her stuck in the seat, unable to move. She subconsciously let out a scream. When Nana saw this, she cried loudly. She was in Tang Jing's arms and was not injured, but when the child saw this scene, she was instinctively afraid. "Mom?" Nana cried out. Mu Hongyan shouted, "Tang Jing, hurry up and save Nana. Don't worry about me. You hang in there. I'll come to save you after I get Nana out." The situation was urgent and Tang Jing didn't have time to think. He kicked the door and rushed out. Bang bang, bullets rained down on Tang Jing, causing dust to fly around him. Tang Jing simply had no way to put Nan down, so he could only tightly hug her in his embrace to prevent her from being hit by the bullets. With a casual glance, he saw 4 black muzzles poking out of the off-road vehicle's window, aiming at them and shooting. Damn it, who are these people? How could they use such powerful firepower? Tang Jing gnashed his teeth in hatred, but found that Fang Shishir and Li Xiaotian were lying on the ground, not daring to show their heads. These gunmen were too hateful. They must know that they knew martial arts, so they used their firepower to suppress them. We can't go on like this. Tang Jing glanced back and found that the car was tilting away from the cliff. If they didn't get rid of these gunmen, they wouldn't have time to save Mu Hongyan. So she pushed Nana into Fang Shishir's arms and said, "Protect Nana. Be careful. I'll get rid of these people. Be careful." It was the first time that Fang Shishir had faced such a thrilling situation. She couldn't help but be excited and scared. Whoosh! Tang Jing rushed out and the bullets almost brushed past his body. He roared and with a wave of his hand, a few stones that he picked up in passing shot into the windshield. Under the broken windshield, the driver was hit by a stone on the spot, and suddenly fell on the steering wheel. Suddenly the off-road vehicle sped up. At such a close distance, Tang Jing could even see the surprise on the faces of the other gunmen. Obviously, they didn't expect Tang Jing's reaction to be so fast. Moreover, the driver stepped on the gas pedal before he died, so the off-road vehicle rushed toward Tang Jing like a runaway horse. Tang Jing quickly moved aside. Seeing the off-road vehicle speeding past him, Tang Jing quickly grabbed the window with his arm and flew to the roof of the car. Bang, bang, bang. The gunman found Tang Jing's trace and aimed at the roof of the car and pulled the trigger. Tang Jing didn't stay on the roof of the car. Instead, he lightly jumped over the roof and flipped to the other side. From the other side of the window, he punched a gunman in the face. Suddenly, the gunman's face exploded and blood flowed out. He died on the spot. Tang Jing was furious. Just this punch alone was enough to kill. The remaining 2 gunmen shouted, "Shoot him, kill him, kill him." The gunshots were loud, but after all, 2 gunmen were dead. The threat to Tang Jing was greatly reduced. Tang Jing smoothly grabbed the hand holding the gun from the front passenger seat and pulled it hard. The pistol was in his hand. Tang Jing didn't hesitate. He turned the muzzle, aimed at the other gunman in the back seat and pulled the trigger. Although Tang Jing had never used a gun at such a close distance, and his hand was very steady, his palm felt a little recoil. The muzzle didn't shake at all. The bullets poured out and completely shot into the enemy's body. When the last gunman saw this, his face turned pale with fright. He screamed and wanted to resist. Tang Jing smashed the gun on the gunman's head. Blood flowed out and the gunman fainted. Tang Jing, be careful. Suddenly, Fang Shishir screamed. Before Tang Jing had time to react, he felt a huge impact. If he hadn't grabbed the window tightly, he would have been thrown out. Then he saw a frightening scene. The off-road vehicle hit Mu Hongyan's car, and the two cars fell off the cliff at the same time. Tang Jing's body was also in midair. He felt a biting cold wind blowing from the cliff, and he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Mu Hongyan's scream came from the car. Tang Jing almost didn't think. He jumped up and the two cars and one person fell down the cliff. Chapter 216. This scene scared Fang Shishir so much that she screamed, "Tang Jing, brother godly doctor, mom?" Nana also burst into tears. Her tender little face was filled with fear. Her tears were like pearls rolling down her cheeks. Please add, Li Xiaotian also smacked her lips. It was hard to hide her surprise. He really dared to jump. Tang Jing threw himself onto Mu Hongyan's car and quickly got into the car. He saw Mu Hongyan's face was ashen. She was already in despair. When she saw Tang Jing, Mu Hongyan shouted in surprise, "What are you doing here?" "I said I would save you. Naturally, I will come to save you." Tang Jing pulled out War Soul from under the seat. He even brought War Soul with him when he came out for a trip. War Soul flashed with a black light and slashed the other side of the car door. Mu Hongyan immediately regained her freedom. Tang Jing quickly held her in his arms and rushed out of the car. The mountain wind whistled. The two of them stood on the roof of the rapidly falling car. They found that the car had already fallen more than 100 meters. Tang Jing could only see Fang Shishir's face full of concern at the edge of the cliff. He also heard the heart-wrenching cries. Tang Jing's heart thumped as he thought to himself that the situation was not good. He had overestimated himself. Even though he did all of this in a short amount of time, under the influence of gravity, the speed of the car's descent was even faster than the speed at which he saved people. The distance of falling more than 100 meters was almost instantaneous. Now Tang Jing had no way to rush to the top of the mountain. He was unwilling to give up. With a tap of his foot, he heavily stepped on the roof of the car. The two of them quickly rose into the air. However, they were still unable to rush to the top of the cliff that was more than 100 meters high. Then the two of them quickly fell down like cannonballs. The mountain wind whistled in their ears. Tang Jing held the sword in one hand and Mu Hongyan in the other. His expression gradually changed. This was a cliff that was thousands of meters high. If he fell down, he would definitely be smashed to pieces. Not even his ashes would be left. Mu Hongyan felt her entire body turn cold. Was she going to die just like that? He would never be able to see Nana again. He would not be able to accompany her as she grew up. "Nana!" She shouted loudly, but her voice was drowned out by the whistling mountain wind. Indescribable sorrow and despair welled up in her heart, but when she saw Tang Jing holding her, she felt even more guilty. He actually risked his life to save her. "Tang Jing, you shouldn't have saved me. Now you're going to fall off the cliff with me." The mountain wind howled and she finally managed to finish her sentence. Tang Jing forced a smile. "I promised to save you, so I naturally had to do it. But it seems that I didn't do it in the end. I can't save you." "I'm sorry, Tang Jing." Mu Hongyan's face revealed a look of despair. Tang Jing could no longer see Fang Shishir's face above his head. He only felt that he was falling faster and faster. He turned his face with difficulty and found that the ground was getting closer and closer. It was pitch black. Boom. The two cars hit the ground first, splashing up pitch-black soil. He used all his strength to hold onto Mu Hongyan. He used the ancient Clear Heaven scroll and mobilized all his true chi to cover his whole body. He hoped that his body could offset the impact of the fall. With a muffled sound, Tang Jing felt a huge pain spread throughout his body. Then his vision turned black and he lost consciousness. At the top of the mountain, Fang Shishir's throat was almost hoarse from shouting. If she was not holding Nana in her arms, she would have jumped down without a care for her own safety. Li Xiaotian looked at all of this in disbelief. Tang Jing actually died like this. No matter how rich her imagination was, she would never have thought of this scene. She had always wanted to find out more about Tang Jing, but now everything was meaningless. "Fang Shishir, don't cry. It's useless crying." Li Xiaotian persuaded. "Go away, you bad woman." Fang Shishir angrily roared. Nana had long been sobbing. "Mom, brother godly doctor, where did you go?" Nana wants to see you, sob sob sob. Li Xiaotian stood to the side resentfully. She looked at the bottomless cliff and did not say a word. This big movement had attracted everyone's attention. Many passing tourists stopped to watch. All the cars stopped and traffic was congested. However, no one dared to step forward. This was not an ordinary traffic accident, but an assassination. Ordinary people did not dare to act rashly and could only watch from afar. Not long after, the police station in the scenic area came. They controlled the scene and evacuated the guests. The news of Mu Hongyan being attacked and falling off the cliff was immediately transmitted back. Mu Hongyan was a celebrity in Dianan. It could be said that she was a household name. After all, she was in charge of the Long family's huge business empire. Moreover, she was capable and beautiful. Of course, she could attract many people's attention and was the object of admiration. Not long after, a helicopter flew to the edge of the cliff and hovered above their heads. A person jumped down from a height of more than 10 meters and landed lightly on the ground, safe and sound. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. An expert. This was a real expert. Everyone stared at this expert with wide eyes. It was a hale and hearty old man, Long Shenyuan. Long Shenyuan stood at the edge of the cliff with a gloomy face. He looked down and then retracted his gaze. Almost no one dared to breathe. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive and the scene was extremely quiet. Who did it? No one answered his question and no one knew the answer. The scene fell into a dead silence. Long Xuanyuan's anger seemed to be about to explode at any time. No one dared to approach him. He took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. He asked again, Hongyan and Tang Jing really fell off the cliff? Li Xiaotian finally spoke. He nodded and said, I saw it with my own eyes. Fang Shishir sobbed and said, Master Long, you must find them. You must save them. Nana, who had fainted because of sadness, woke up again. When she saw Long Shenyuan, she immediately threw herself into his arms and cried, Grandpa, Mom and Brother Godly Doctor fell. You must save them. Nana wants them. A trace of pain and love flashed through Long Xuanyuan's eyes. He patted his granddaughter's shoulder and comforted her. Nana, don't worry. Grandpa will definitely find them. They will be fine. Yes, I believe they are still alive. Fang Shishir nodded firmly. Long Shenyuan and Li Xiaotian looked at her in surprise. They didn't know where her confidence came from. This was a cliff that was thousands of meters high. No matter who fell, they would be smashed to pieces. Long Shenyuan might have been infected by Fang Shishir's persistence. He said, I will send people to search immediately. The helicopter circled around and immediately dived down to the bottom of the mountain to begin the search. Long Shenyuan, on the other hand, brought Fang Shishir and the others to the car and returned to the small villa by the lake. The news of Mu Hongyan being attacked and falling off the cliff quickly spread to the ears of the various forces in Dianan. Everyone wondered if they had heard wrongly. Mu Hongyan being attacked and falling off the cliff, was this a joke? There was actually someone who dared to do such a thing in Dianan. Before everyone's shock subsided, Long Xuanyuan's anger followed closely behind. Several forces that were secretly opposing the Long family were swept away at a speed that was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The atmosphere of the entire Dianan became oppressive, and an inexplicable pressure pervaded the air. Everyone immediately expressed that this matter was not done by them. The Long family was a veritable local tyrant in Dianan. Many people relied on the Long family to make a living. Assassinating Mu Hongyan was like poking a hornet's nest. Long Shenyuan didn't listen to one side of the story. Not only did he continue to send a large number of people to investigate, but he also focused on the investigation of the gunmen. In the end, the investigation found that a group of foreign assassins had recently appeared in Dianan, and this matter was done by them. This group of foreign assassins obviously didn't know Mu Hongyan's identity, so they only thought of her as an ordinary rich person. They never thought that she would have such a prominent identity. It was no wonder. The local forces in Dianan knew how terrifying this matter was. It was simply impossible to do it. Only the foreign forces didn't know the details and poked such a big hornet's nest. The search of the helicopter quickly came to a preliminary result. There was a large area of forbidden death below the fairy peak. The people of Dianan were very clear about it. There were many swamps in this area and miasma filled the air. The search was very difficult, and for the time being, the bodies of the two people had not been found. The so-called most beautiful place was often the most dangerous place. The fairy peak was like this. The scenery at the top of the mountain was beautiful, but at the bottom of the mountain was an endless forbidden death zone. It was connected with other undulating mountains and was a primitive mountain range. Even though the tourism industry was developed, Dianan did not develop this primitive mountain range. This was because ferocious beasts ran rampant, swamps were everywhere and miasma filled the air. Once an ordinary person inhaled a large amount of miasma, it was enough to be fatal. Moreover, the countless swamps were like bloody mouths, swallowing the lives of those who entered. Every year there were many exploration teams that entered this forbidden death zone, but they never came out again. In the past few years, there were fewer and fewer people exploring. Everyone gradually understood that this forbidden death zone was the hunting ground of the Grim Reaper, and it was better not to touch it. Under the pressure of Long Xinyuan, his subordinates wore gas masks and searched this small area for 3 days and 3 nights, but they still found nothing. Many people thought that although they did not find the bodies, they must have been swallowed by the swamps that ate people without spitting out the bones. The Long family fell into a state of sadness, but there were some people who were not sad. Long Tingyu had been secretly happy for the past few days and he was extremely happy. This was because the real culprit of this assassination was him. He had specially invited foreign forces to do this business in order to not expose himself. Now he had finally gotten what he wanted. However, he also had a little regret. He had originally planned to kill Tang Jing alone, and then capture Mu Hongyan alive. This way he could fulfill his wish and get Mu Hongyan, this beauty, into bed. However, Tang Jing's reaction was too intense. He directly killed the other party's driver, causing both parties to fall off the cliff. Although it was a little regretful, Long Tingyu was still very happy because his gaze was fixed on other prey. Since Tang Jing was dead, then his beautiful girlfriend had become an ownerless object. Without Mu Hongyan, then let Fang Shishir take over. Chapter 217. Tang Jing regained consciousness and found that his entire body was in incomparable pain, as if he had fallen apart. It was as if every bone in his body was broken and his muscles were torn apart. He had never tasted this kind of pain before. Quick update, no ads coming soon. He let out a painful groan before he adapted to the pain. Then he took a deep breath and used a lot of strength to slowly open his eyes. His eyelids were so heavy that it felt like they were filled with lead. When he finally opened his eyes, a dim light entered his vision. The scene in his field of vision slowly condensed together and projected on his retina. This was a dim wooden house. The wind was blowing all around and there was light coming in through the cracks in the wood. Tang Jing was lying on a cold wooden bed. His body was tied to the bedboard by ropes, making him unable to move. What's going on? Why am I tied up? Didn't I fall off the cliff with Mu Hongyan? Shouldn't I be dead? Is this the ghost realm? No, Tang Jing had heard a little about the ghost realm from Tian Chanzi. This was definitely not the ghost realm. Moreover, after people died, they became ghosts and were muddle-headed. How could they be as clear-headed as he was? He could still remember everything that happened before, and the feeling of his body was so real. I'm not dead. Tang Jing immediately judged this point. Although his whole body was in unbearable pain, this news still made him very excited. As long as he was not dead, there was still hope. But who saved him? Why did they help him? And where was this place? A series of questions came one after another and he felt a splitting headache. It seemed that the injury was too serious to even think about it. Let's check the condition of my body first. Tang Jing hurriedly operated. The true fire in his sea of consciousness was dim, and the purple flame was half of what it used to be. The true qi in his body was almost exhausted. Almost all the bones in his body had different degrees of damage. His arm and leg bones were broken and several of his ribs were broken. His muscles were also torn, and even his internal organs were shaken and displaced. If he had not used his true qi to protect the key parts of his body, he was afraid that the situation would be worse. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. His body's condition was unprecedentedly bad. Even if he wasn't tied up, he wouldn't be able to move. However, the most important thing now was to figure out where he was and whether the person who had saved him was an enemy or a friend. And what about Mu Hongyan? Is anyone there? He called weakly. Crick. The door was pushed open and a young man with a gloomy face walked in. His eyes were like an eagle's, bright and spirited. Thank you for saving me. May I ask where this place is? Tang Jing finally let out a sigh of relief and asked impatiently. The young man didn't say a word, looking down at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. Tang Jing's head thumped. This look is not good. I didn't do anything bad. Is there a need to be so hostile? Hello. Tang Jing tried to say hello again. The young man didn't move, making Tang Jing wonder if he was a mute. Their eyes met, and after a moment the young man coldly asked, "Who are you?" Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief. Since the young man spoke, then there was a way to communicate, so he quickly said, "I am an ordinary person. I fell from the top of a cliff and woke up here. Was it you who saved me? Thank you. Also, I have a companion. I don't know how she is." The young man didn't answer. Tang Jing secretly felt bad. Could it be that Mu Hongyan died? Then Nana would become a real orphan. She didn't die, the young man suddenly said. Tang Jing almost rolled his eyes. "Can you not speak so slowly? You almost scared me to death. You are a liar, not a good person," the young man decisively said. Tang Jing was stunned. "How did I become a liar? You don't even know me. You are lying. You are not an ordinary person," the young man said. "Not an ordinary person." Tang Jing's head trembled and his face became serious. Could it be that the other party discovered something? He didn't have time to think about this problem when a burst of footsteps sounded, getting closer and closer. He saw an old man surrounded by a group of people walk in. This old man had a head full of snow-white hair and a long beard. His face was full of wrinkles and his face was somewhat pale, but his eyes were full of wisdom, as if they could see through people's hearts. The old man sat down in front of the bed and stared at Tang Jing without blinking. He asked in an amiable manner, "This little brother, you fell off the cliff and were saved by my clansmen when they were hunting. Now you are safe." Tang Jing said that he was afraid it might not be safe, but after all, it was the other party who saved him. He hurriedly said, "Thank you for saving my life. I have a few questions to ask, little brother," the old man politely said. Tang Jing was a fish on the chopping block, so he naturally couldn't refuse. He softly said, "Please ask. Is this your sword?" The old man took out a sword from behind him and asked. Tang Jing's eyes narrowed. This was his war soul sword. He didn't expect it to fall into the hands of the other party, but he was relieved. At least the war soul sword was not lost, otherwise he would have suffered a great loss. Seeing the other party ask about the war soul sword so seriously, Tang Jing hesitated. Should he admit that this was his sword or not? "The elder asked you a question. Why are you hesitating? You must be thinking of how to lie. Elder, this person is definitely not a good person. You must not believe his words," the young man from before said with hostility. The elder turned a deaf ear and still looked at Tang Jing without batting an eyelid, waiting for his answer. Even the people behind him held their breaths and looked at Tang Jing at the same time. Being looked at by so many complicated eyes, Tang Jing felt an indescribable pressure. He didn't know the consequences of admitting or not, and he couldn't figure out the other party's background. In the end, he hesitated for a long time and decided to tell the truth. "This is my sword." The elder's eyebrows showed a trace of undetectable excitement, but it was caught by Tang Jing. He knew that he had made the right bet. "Then may I ask who little brother is?" the elder asked again. The young man quickly said, "Elder, I have already asked him this question." He did not tell the truth and said that he was an ordinary person. The elder waved his hand, indicating that the other party should not speak. He then looked at Tang Jing, waiting for his answer. Tang Jing was puzzled. How should he answer this question? What was the other party's intention? "I am just an ordinary person who accidentally fell off the cliff with a friend." A light flashed in the elder's eyes as he said, "If little brother is just an ordinary person, then I am powerless. Your injuries will cripple you for the rest of your life and you will lie in bed for the rest of your life. Then you can only stay here until you die of old age." Tang Jing knew that his injuries were very serious, but according to his words, he had still underestimated the severity of his injuries. More importantly, the other party seemed to be preparing to leave him behind and lie in bed for the rest of his life. Tang Jing did not dare to imagine what kind of life that would be. Moreover, he still had to take care of his grandfather, stay with Fang Shishir, and ordinary balance his huge career. All of this made it impossible for him to stay out of it and be a cripple here. However, he still could not figure out what the other party wanted to hear. Could it be that the other party had discovered some clues from the War Soul Sword? Logically speaking, in the eyes of ordinary people, the War Soul Sword was only a little sharper and could be considered a treasure sword. Unless one could tell that the War Soul Sword was a magic treasure, it would not be able to attract such attention. "I want to see my friend first." In the end, Tang Jing did not reveal his identity as a cultivator. This identity was too important. If the other party was an enemy, then he could forget about living. Therefore, he was prepared to delay for a period of time and observe the situation here first. The elder smiled. Sure, I'm not in a hurry to know the answer. It won't be too late for you to tell me when you've thought it through. However, you can't drag this on for too long, otherwise you'll end up with a chronic illness for the rest of your life. After pausing for a moment, he turned to the young man and said, Yuan, take him to see his friend later. Yes, elder. Yuan respectfully accepted the order. The elder brought the war soul sword and the others out of the small wooden house. Only Tang Zheng and Yuan were left in the room. Yuan obviously did not have a good expression on his face towards Tang Zheng. With a gloomy face he said, no matter how glib your tongue is, I will not believe you. You better not have any bad ideas, otherwise I will mercilessly break your head. Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. I'm about to become a cripple, what bad ideas can I have? Yuan coldly snorted as if he agreed with his words. Please untie the rope and help me to see my friend. Tang Zheng said. Why do you want to untie the rope? Let me tell you, if you don't tell the truth, don't even think about getting me to untie the rope. Then how am I supposed to meet my friend? You can't just tie me to the bed and carry me there. Tang Zheng said doubtfully. You want to lift your small body? You're simply insulting me. Yuan was indignant. Then he grabbed the wooden bed with one hand and gently lifted it up. Even though Tang Zheng's nerves were thick, he couldn't help but feel his eyelids twitch when he saw this scene. If he didn't circulate his energy, he wouldn't be able to lift such a heavy thing with one hand with just his physical strength. However, if he circulated his energy, his strength would increase explosively, so it was possible for him to do so. However, the key point was that this Yuan didn't feel any true qi or inner strength fluctuations from his body. This was very terrifying. Tang Zheng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Just who was the other party? And that elder, although he didn't look much different from an ordinary old man, to be able to make this Yuan be so respectful, he couldn't be an ordinary person. In short, the identities of this group of people were extremely mysterious, and now that he had become their captive, it was hard to predict his fate. Looking at the surprise in Tang Zheng's eyes, a trace of pride flashed across Yuan's eyes. He said, I am the most powerful person in the younger generation of our clan. If you dare to act rashly, I will kill you easier than killing an ant. As he spoke, Yuan walked out of the wooden house with the wooden bed. It was noon and the sun was high in the sky. Tang Zheng subconsciously closed his eyes. After adapting to the sunlight, he slowly opened his eyes again and couldn't help but be dumbstruck. Chapter 218. A huge circular plaza appeared in front of Tang Zheng. This plaza was the size of 2 football fields. The ground of the plaza was extremely flat, and the ground was carved with complicated patterns. The most eye-catching thing was the 4 huge stone statues around the plaza. The stone statues were about 10 feet tall and bathed in the sunlight, emitting a mysterious aura. These stone statues were lifelike, no different from ordinary people. Looking closely, it was as if the stone statues were also looking at him. A soul-stirring power reached straight into his heart, causing him to feel deep veneration. Seeing Tang Zheng staring straight at the stone statue, Yuan said proudly, This is the guardian of my clan, isn't it spectacular? Tang Zheng swallowed his saliva. To tell the truth, he had never seen such a tall and spectacular stone statue with his own eyes before. He sincerely said, Spectacular. The guardian god has protected my clan for countless years. Even the elders don't know when they appeared. Yuan sighed. What clan are you from? Tang Zheng realized that the other party's clothes were still different from his. They were basically coarse linen clothes which were already very rare. Furthermore, they all had long hair just like ancient people. Ancient people? Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. He raised his eyes and looked into the distance. The plaza was surrounded by scattered houses, and outside was a forest that covered the sky and covered the sun. Tang Zheng looked into the distance from the top of the fairy peak and discovered that there were vast mountains that stretched to the end of his line of sight. Although they were not as high as the fairy peak, they occupied an extremely large area, giving people a strong visual impact. Tang Zheng stood on the flat ground, unable to see what was behind the forest that covered the sky, but he also felt that it was an endless forest. In other words, he was currently in the vast forest that he had seen before. Wasn't it said that this was a forbidden zone of death, filled with miasma and swamps that were not suitable for human survival? How could there be humans? His heart was in turmoil. These people were dressed strangely. Could it be that they were from some tribe that lived in seclusion here? Tang Zheng could not make up his mind. If they were really an ancient tribe that lived in seclusion here, how could they avoid the detection of such high-tech satellites with such advanced technology? After all, with such a huge square and these mysterious stone statues standing in broad daylight, the low Earth orbit satellites that were tens of thousands of meters above the ground would definitely notice them. Hearing his question, Yuan glanced at him warily and said, "You want to get information from me? No way." Yuan's progress was like flying. Holding the wooden bed, he quickly arrived at a house at the edge of the plaza. This house was obviously much better than the house Tang Jing lived in. From afar, Tang Jing saw a familiar figure sitting in front of the house. His eyes were blank and he was holding his chin with one hand. He was staring at the square in a daze. Mu Hongyan. Tang Jing recognized her at a glance. She was safe and sound under the protection of Tang Jing's body. Mu Hongyan also saw Tang Jing on the wooden bed. With a whoosh, she jumped up and quickly walked up to him. She cried out in surprise, "Tang Jing, are you okay? You won't die for the time being." Tang Jing forced out a smile, but it affected his muscles. A heart-wrenching pain assaulted him, causing his smile to be uglier than crying. Mu Hongyan patted her chest and said with lingering fear, "I thought something bad had happened to you. These people never told me about you." While they were talking, Tang Jing had already been put down. Mu Hongyan finally saw his appearance clearly. He was actually tied up. Immediately, she raised her eyebrows and stared at Yuan. "What are you doing? Why are you tying him up?" Yuan said coldly, "Of course it's to prevent him from escaping. We are free. If we want to leave, we can leave. What right do you have to stop us?" Mu Hongyan roared angrily like an angry lioness. Yuan remained unmoved and said, "He is my captive. Before he tells the truth, I will never let him escape." "Captive? You put us under house arrest. This is against the law." Mu Hongyan complained. "Against the law?" Yuan was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud. "Our elders are the law here. I am following the elders' orders, how could I break the law?" Tang Jing knew that talking to this kid was nonsense, so he hurriedly stopped Mu Hongyan and said, "Do you still remember what happened to us?" Mu Hongyan shook her head blankly. "I only remember that the two of us fell off the cliff together, and when we woke up, we were already here. Fortunately, you used your body to save me and I am safe and sound. We have been here for 2 days and I have been asking for your news, but they did not tell me at all." As she spoke, she angrily glared at Yuan, but Yuan acted as if he did not see it. He only pricked up his ears to listen to the conversation between the two, as if he wanted to discover some secret from the conversation. 2 days? You mean we've been here for 2 days? Tang Jing was shocked. Could it be that he had been unconscious for 2 days? Mu Hongyan said with a sad expression, "Yes, it's been 2 days. Our family must be worried to death about us. We have to hurry back." Tang Jing obviously knew that his family members were burning with anxiety. It was very likely that they all thought that he had fallen off the cliff and died. However, the key point was that it was not easy to leave this place. Furthermore, he was injured and could not move. "Don't be impatient. We will definitely go back. I promise you," Tang Jing said firmly. Mu Hongyan looked into his eyes and her heart softened. Tang Jing had fallen off the cliff in order to save her, and if it wasn't for protecting her, he wouldn't have been injured to such an extent. All these years, no one had ever dared to give up their lives for her. Her heart seemed to be melting. Hearing Tang Jing's promise, she did not doubt it. Instead, she believed it without hesitation. She nodded and said, "I believe you. We will definitely leave this place." Yuan scoffed and sneered disdainfully, "Without the help of our clansmen, even if your body recovers, it would be impossible for you to leave this 10,000 huge mountains." Their expressions couldn't help but darken. "All right, you've seen your friend. Let's go back," Yuan said. Mu Hongyan's expression suddenly changed. She grabbed onto the wooden bed tightly and shouted, "No, he's injured. I want to take care of him. You can't take him away." These 2 days were definitely torture for Mu Hongyan. She didn't know anyone and everyone looked at her with vigilance. Now that she finally saw Tang Jing, how could she let him leave her? Unknowingly, Tang Jing was able to stabilize her mind and give her peace of mind. She had already treated Tang Jing as her pillar of support. Yuan frowned and said unhappily, "You've already seen each other. If you still want to stay together, there's no way." As he spoke, he was about to gather the wooden bed together. "No, he's already injured to such an extent. He can't be left unattended." Mu Hongyan desperately grabbed onto the wooden bed and refused to let go. Yuan glared angrily. Why were these two so troublesome? He was not a person who would take pity on the fairer sex. He directly raised his hand and Mu Hongyan fell into the air. Seeing this, Tang Jing hurriedly stopped him and said, Stop, let us stay together. Otherwise you won't be able to get my answer. You dare to threaten me? A Yuan flew into a rage. His other hand clenched into a fist, as if he could smash Tang Zheng's head at any moment. However, Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. He stared straight at A Yuan and did not back down. I am threatening you, so what can you do? Do you believe that I won't blow your head off with one punch? Haha, alright then come. Since I've already become like this, I don't care if I take another punch. Tang Zheng laughed. A Yuan was startled. This person was really not afraid of death. Of course he did not dare to kill Tang Zheng. Otherwise the elder would skin him alive. If you can't make the decision, you can ask your elder. Tang Zheng said. Just you wait, I will never let you succeed. A Yuan angrily put down the wooden bed. Mu Hongyan landed on the ground again. Her legs went soft as she laid on the bed, exhaling like an orchid. A Yuan angrily left and went to ask for instructions from the elder. Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan could finally be alone. He hurriedly said in a low voice, Have you found any useful information in the past 2 days? Mu Hongyan took a deep breath and said, In the past 2 days I have been restricted from moving too far, but I have also seen some things. This is obviously an ancient tribe that lives in seclusion in the 10,000 mountains. It was hard to imagine that there was such an ancient tribe living in the death-forbidden zone in everyone's eyes. They hunt for a living. Every day I can see people carrying the corpses of ferocious beasts back. The people of this tribe seem to be extremely strong and there are hundreds of them. Then is there any way to leave this place? Mu Hongyan shook her head. There are people guarding every exit, and the houses are surrounded by high fences, so there is no way to escape. Just like what that person said earlier, this is the depths of the 10,000 mountains, and other than them, it would be very difficult for outsiders to leave. As she spoke, her expression couldn't help but darken. She originally thought that she would die without a doubt, but she didn't expect to be saved. However, just as she escaped from the gates of hell, she entered the tiger's den and fell into the hands of this mysterious tribe who she didn't know if they were enemies or friends. Tang Zheng, let me see if your injuries are serious. Are they serious? Mu Hongyan asked worriedly. Tang Zheng laughed bitterly. I can still hold on for a few days with this injury, but I'm afraid it's hard to say if I can recover in the end. I don't even know how many bones I have broken. Mu Hongyan's eyes reddened and she was about to cry. She was originally a strong woman, but at this moment she was especially sensitive. She said shamefully, Tang Zheng, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. If you didn't save me, you wouldn't have become like this. Tang Zheng squeezed out a smile and said, Don't say this, let's think about how to leave this place. Mu Hongyan wiped the corner of her eyes and said, First of all, we should think of a way to cure your injuries. Tang Zheng secretly sighed. He didn't even have the most basic medicine, so treating his injuries was easier said than done. However, if he didn't treat his injuries, they wouldn't be able to leave. Dong dong dong. A burst of hurried footsteps could be heard. A Yuan returned with an unfriendly expression. Tang Zheng's heart moved and said, Elder, have you agreed? A Yuan coldly snorted, I'm warning you, don't have any bad ideas. Hurry up and tell the truth, otherwise I won't let you off. As he said that, he broke the rope on Tang Zheng's body and lifted him up with one hand. He entered the house and placed him on Mu Hongyan's bed. Then he picked up the wooden bed outside the house and left unwillingly. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. Staying with Mu Hongyan would at least make it easier to communicate and understand everything here. Mu Hongyan was also overjoyed. Before Tang Zheng could be happy, he felt a strong urge to urinate in his lower abdomen. He had been unconscious for 2 days and now he wanted to pee. Chapter 219. Tang Zheng's cheeks were flushed red and he found it hard to speak. Mu Hongyan noticed that he was acting strangely and quickly bent down. Her shirt collar revealed a large area of snow white, and the buttons were almost bursting out of it. Tang Zheng, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Tang Zheng couldn't move and he couldn't solve the problem by himself. Could it be that a living person was going to be suffocated to death by urine? He didn't want to die so sullenly, so he stammered, I want to go to the toilet. Mu Hongyan finally understood why his face was so red. She couldn't help but feel a little shy and sad. If it wasn't to save her, how could he not even be able to do such a small thing? So, she didn't hesitate to ask, the big one or the small one? The small one. Tang Zheng's voice was like a mosquito. Wasn't his skin very thick? How could he be so shy at this time? You can't move. Wait for me. Mu Hongyan quickly ran out, leaving Tang Jing sighing. He had to find a way to get better, otherwise he would be crippled for the rest of his life. If he couldn't even take care of himself, then it would be better to kill him. Mu Hongyan rushed in again, holding a chamber pot in her hand. "Don't move, I'll help you." Mu Hongyan took a deep breath and pretended to be calm as she calmly said. Although she was a married person, this was the first time she had done this kind of thing for someone. She couldn't help but feel a little flustered, but more than that, she felt shy. "Mu Hongyan, what kind of nonsense are you thinking? Tang Jing is your benefactor, and the reason he is enduring such pain is all to save you. Moreover, he is only a child in his teens, so how can you have such unbearable thoughts?" Mu Hongyan asked herself and gradually calmed her emotions. Seeing her unzip his pants, Tang Jing wished he could find a hole to hide in. He never thought that he would have a day like this. Suddenly he felt his little brother being grabbed. The soft touch made his mind ripple. Most importantly, this was King exciting. CK, this is torture. Tang Jing cried out in his heart. Mu Hongyan had already grabbed his little brother and aimed it at the mouth of the chamber pot. Mu Hongyan said, "It's done." Tang Jing quickly discarded all distracting thoughts. The urge to pee hit him and his whole body relaxed. The sound of water splashing could be heard. He wished he could finish peeing as soon as possible, but he had accumulated too much in the past 2 days. It was as if there was no end to it. The two of them tacitly remained silent, and the only sound left in the room was the sound of running water. Mu Hongyan concentrated on looking at the little thing. Although she tried her best to suppress the thoughts in her heart, her beautiful cheeks couldn't help but turn red all the way to her neck, making her incomparably beautiful. He's not a child anymore, he's already so big. She couldn't help but have this thought, which made her feel even more embarrassed. Phew. Tang Jing finally let out a sigh of relief as he finished peeing. He unconsciously looked at her and found that her cheeks were pink and her eyes were watery. Moreover, because she was slightly bent over, her chest was so full that it seemed like it was about to burst out. Tang Jing's head moved. He actually felt something, and his little brother immediately reacted. Mu Hongyan's hand clearly felt this change. Of course, she understood what was going on, but she pretended not to know. She resisted her embarrassment and stuffed the thing back into her pants. The two of them let out a sigh of relief at the same time. If this continued, Tang Jing didn't know what kind of ugly state he would reveal. Mu Hongyan carried the chamber pot and walked out. Looking at her graceful figure, Tang Jing regretted it. If he knew it would be this awkward, he wouldn't have lived with her. "No, I have to leave this damn place as soon as possible. Do I really have to admit my identity as a cultivator?" Tang Jing was hesitant. After a while, Mu Hongyan walked back. Her face had already returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. She sat on the bed and said, "Tang Jing, how can your injury be cured? I'll first try to see if it's effective. Next, I need you to continue to silently observe this group of people. See if there's anything special about them other than their strength." Tang Jing warned, "In addition, find a way to figure out what kind of tribe they are. They actually live in seclusion in the 100,000 mountains. I always feel that it's not simple. They must have a lot of secrets." Only by collecting as much information as possible would Tang Jing be able to judge the other party's intentions. "Do you think they're cultivators?" Mu Hongyan asked curiously. "Cultivators?" Tang Jing denied this point. None of them have any innate chi fluctuations, so it's impossible for them to be cultivators. However, this tribe is simply too mysterious. They are not cultivators nor are they martial artists, yet they have such great strength. It's simply inconceivable. "I understand. I will try my best to collect as much information as possible." As night fell, the two of them ate the dinner that a Yuan brought over. The night became especially quiet, and there were no other entertainment activities in the mountains. Every household returned to their rooms to rest. Tang Jing and Mu Hongyan, on the other hand, faced an awkward situation. There was only one bed in this room, and if the two of them wanted to rest, they could only sleep on the same bed. "You sleep on the other side. Don't worry, I can't move at all. I won't do anything bad." Tang Jing tried his best to speak in a calm tone. Mu Hongyan smiled, "I believe you." Under the illumination of the candlelight, she gave off a hazy sense of seductive beauty. Tang Jing hurriedly closed his eyes, not looking at this beauty. A single man and a single woman sharing a bed and sleeping with their clothes on. To be able to sleep on the same bed as Mu Hongyan was something that countless men dreamed of, but it was Tang Jing who beat them to it. However, he couldn't do anything about it. However, smelling the fragrance emitted from her body, he still couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. He forced himself to abandon all distracting thoughts and only fell asleep in the middle of the night. Mu Hongyan fell asleep in a daze. In her dream, she actually dreamed of the embarrassing scene during the day. In her dream, she still saw Tang Zheng's thing grow bigger and harder. She couldn't help but panic. Suddenly, a painful groan woke her up. She opened her eyes in a daze and found that Tang Zheng was sweating profusely, his mouth continuously letting out painful cries. "Tang Zheng, what's wrong with you?" She was shocked. It hurts, my whole body hurts." Tang Zheng's whole body trembled as if he was sleep-talking. Mu Hongyan's heart moved. She remembered that he said during the day that she didn't know how many bones in his body were broken. At that time she saw that he said it so easily, so she didn't take it to heart. Only now did she understand how terrifying this pain was. It was just that during the day he had been suppressing this pain. Today he fell asleep and showed this pain. Her heart felt like it was being ruthlessly stabbed by a knife. Her eyes turned red and tears fell. She called out a few more times, but Tang Zheng still didn't wake up. "Tang Zheng, I'm sorry. Why are you so good to me? In the past few years, there have been too many people with ulterior motives towards me. No one has been so good to me. You don't even care about your own life and have to suffer so much pain. How can I repay you in the future?" She choked and found that she couldn't continue speaking. She only felt that her heart was wrapped in a warm feeling. She reached out her hand and tightly hugged Tang Zheng. She let him lie in her embrace with his head resting on her full chest. In the past few years, she had never had such intimate contact with a man. She had a natural repulsion towards other people. But at this moment she didn't feel repulsion. She only felt heartache as she tightly hugged him. She wished that she could rub him into her body and bear this pain for him. Tang Zheng laid in her embrace and gradually calmed down. However, the pain between his brows was still strong. The two of them maintained this position and gradually fell asleep. At dawn, Tang Zheng opened his eyes and found that his head was resting on something soft. It was more comfortable than any of the pillows he had slept on before. Moreover, a fragrance entered his nose. He turned his eyes and immediately saw where he was. He was actually lying in Mu Hongyan's embrace. The thing behind his head was her chest. No wonder it was so comfortable. How did he run into her embrace last night? He couldn't move. Could it be that she took the initiative to hug him? He felt that he was being too whimsical. The key point was that this position was really ambiguous, causing his mind to ripple. It was also early in the morning, and all the functions of his body were in a state of excitement. He couldn't help but have a reaction. His little brother was already a pillar that could support the sky. "You're awake." At this moment, Mu Hongyan's voice sounded. Tang Zheng was lying in her embrace, so he couldn't see her expression at all. He didn't know if she saw his ugly state. He said awkwardly, "I just woke up." "Then get up. They should be bringing breakfast." Mu Hongyan hugged his body and moved to the bed. Tang Zheng finally saw her face clearly. Her face was slightly red and her eyes were red and swollen. It seemed that she had cried last night. Suddenly, her eyes swept over Tang Zheng's lower body, and the embarrassment in her eyes became even stronger. Tang Zheng immediately caught this gaze. He was both embarrassed and anxious that she had finally discovered his ugly state. At this time he could only be thick-skinned and pretend that he didn't see it. Fortunately, at this time, A Yuan brought breakfast to break the awkwardness. After breakfast, Tang Zheng lay on the bed alone. Mu Hongyan went out of the house and gathered as much information as possible. 2 days passed like this. Every morning when Tang Zheng woke up, he would find himself lying in her embrace. He finally got used to this luck, but the pain in his body was getting more and more intense. Every night, the time he cried out in pain was getting longer and longer. Even when he was awake during the day, he couldn't bear the bone-deep pain. His entire body was trembling non-stop. Mu Hongyan finally had a breakthrough in the past 2 days. She found out that this tribe was called the Witch Tribe, a tribe that neither of them had ever heard of. Seeing that Tang Zheng's pain was getting more and more intense, Mu Hongyan advised, "Tang Zheng, your injuries must be treated, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable." How could Tang Zheng not understand this logic? But the current information still did not allow him to make the most correct judgment. However, if he did not treat it, he would really be crippled for life. In fact, for the past 2 days, he had been silently circulating the ancient Clear Heaven scroll, hoping to treat his injuries. However, his meridians were severely damaged, and his true qi did not recover so quickly. Everything was in vain. He gritted his teeth. Since he was going to die anyway, he had to go all out. "Go and call A Yuan over." Mu Hongyan nervously left. A moment later, a burst of hurried footsteps approached from afar. Not only Ai Yuan, even the elders had come. Chapter 220. Although the elder's expression was calm, there was still a trace of excitement in the depths of his eyes. Translation: Tang Zheng's face was slightly distorted from the pain and he said, "Don't you want to know the answer? I'll tell you. Please speak." The elder's excitement was finally revealed. Ai Yuan also stared at Tang Zheng with wide eyes, as if he wanted to distinguish the truth of what he said. Mu Hongyan clenched her hands tightly together. The next sentence was related to the survival of the two of them. Tang Zheng's forehead was also covered in sweat. He did not know if it was because of nervousness or pain. He took a deep breath and said, "I am a cultivator." Plop. A muffled sound startled everyone. Tang Zheng's heart also jumped, but the scene in front of him left him dumbstruck. What was going on? Mu Hongyan was flabbergasted. The elder actually knelt in front of Tang Zheng and looked at Tang Zheng eagerly. 2 lines of old tears fell from the corners of his eyes. Ai Yuan turned pale with fright. "Elder, what are you doing? Get up quickly, how can you kneel to him?" However, the elder was unmoved. His fervent eyes seemed to be able to burn people as he stared straight at Tang Zheng. "Lord Envoy, our witch clan has finally waited for you. Is not equal to EXO." After saying that, tears streamed down his face. He prostrated himself on the ground in front of Tang Zheng. Everyone was stunned. Witch clan's envoy, what was this thing? Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan looked at each other. Even though the two of them had imagined countless possibilities, they definitely did not think of this. This was completely beyond their imagination. Witch clan's envoy, how could he be the Lord Envoy? Ai Yuan found it hard to believe. It was difficult for him to connect the immobile guy on the bed with the legendary Lord Envoy. Ai Yuan had heard many rumors about the Witch clan's envoy since he was young. He was a godlike existence, the most powerful person in the world, so powerful that no one could look up to him. Furthermore, it was said that the Lord Envoy would lead the Witch clan out of their predicament and restore their former glory. Ai Yuan yearned for the glory of the Witch clan in the past. From the few words that had been passed down, he could understand that the Witch clan was a powerful clan. They were born with divine strength that could support the heavens. However, for some reason, the shaman tribe had been exiled to the 100,000 mountains. In such a harsh environment, the shaman tribe had used the blood and lives of countless generations of shamans in exchange for the safety of the monks' residence. In addition, the shaman tribe was restricted by the 100,000 mountains. There was a restriction that prevented the shaman tribe from leaving the vast mountains. Even if the outside world changed rapidly, the shaman tribe could only hide in the mountains. It turned out that it wasn't that they didn't want to go out, but that they couldn't. The witch tribe's emissary was the hero who broke the prohibition and saved them from the abyss of suffering. When Ai Yuan was young, there were records of magic treasures in his records. At that time, I did not dare to confirm that the magic treasure belonged to Lord Envoy, nor was I clear about Lord Envoy's identity as a cultivator. Later on, when I examined Darren's injuries, I discovered that Darren actually has 9 main meridians. This discovery made me both surprised and delighted. The legendary Lord Envoy had finally appeared. However, this matter is of great importance, so I did not make it public. Even after Lord Envoy woke up, I did not immediately explain this point because I did not dare to determine Lord Envoy's identity as a cultivator. Legend has it that only cultivators with 9 main meridians are the true Lord Envoy. Actually, last time, when Lord admitted that the magic treasure was your sword, I already knew that Lord Envoy was definitely a cultivator. However, to be on the safe side, I still had to get Lord Envoy's personal acknowledgement. Now, I have finally waited for this day. The heavens have eyes and bless my witch tribe. As he spoke, he almost knelt down again. Tang Zheng hurriedly stopped him, only then did he stop. You said that I am the witch tribe's emissary. What can I do to make you think so highly of me? Tang Zheng asked. I will not speculate on Lord Envoy's ability, but legend has it that Lord Envoy's divine technique has the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. Divine technique, could it be the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll? Tang Zheng was puzzled, but he had obtained the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll by chance. Our witch tribe has been trapped here for generations. Only Lord Envoy can bring us out of here. The elder looked at Tang Zheng expectantly. Chapter 221. Tang Zheng was baffled and asked, Since you can save me here, then you can naturally walk out of this 10,000 huge mountains, why do you still need me to save you? The elder's expression dimmed. Lord Envoy, you may not know this, but our witch tribe has been restricted by restrictions for generations. As long as you are a member of the witch tribe, you will not be able to leave this 10,000 mountains. Only if you break this restriction will we be able to leave. Look at the latest chapter. Tang Jing curiously opened his eyes wide. There was actually such a strange thing, he asked doubtfully. What ability do I have to break the restriction? Tang Jing was only at the 9th grade of qi refining, but this restriction was able to imprison the witch clan for generations, which meant that it had been going on for many years and was not an ordinary level of strength. Tang Jing guessed that it might be a restriction that prevented them from being discovered by outsiders and even escaped the surveillance of the satellites in the sky. Since the restriction was so powerful, Tang Jing was not arrogant enough to listen to the elder's words and feel that he was omnipotent and had really become a god. The elder said excitedly, "Legend has it that as long as Lord Envoy enters the sacred ground, he will know the method to break the restriction." Sacred ground? Yes, the sacred ground is the most important place in our witch clan. The witch clan is not allowed to enter, and only the Lord Envoy can enter. It is said that all the secrets to breaking the restriction are in the sacred ground. The elder explained. Tang Jing laughed bitterly. "Then look at me now, how can I enter the sacred ground?" The elder comforted him. "Lord Envoy, there is no need to worry. This little bit of pain will naturally not be able to defeat you. My witch clan has the black jade bone ointment, it can heal your injuries." Tang Jing was wild with joy and said, "All right, heal me first, we can talk about other things." Tang Jing could not stand this crippled state, and could not wait to recover to his lively state. The elder said respectfully, "Yes, I will follow the orders of the Lord Envoy." Then he walked out and Mu Hongyan and Ayuan walked in again. Ayuan looked at Tang Jing with a complicated expression, while Mu Hongyan was even more nervous and quietly asked, "What's going on?" Tang Jing laughed bitterly, "I don't know either, you heard it too, they believe that I am their Lord Envoy, I can bring them out of this place." Mu Hongyan really wanted to ask the elder what Tang Jing's characteristics were, but she swallowed her words back down. There was no doubt that Tang Jing's body was full of secrets. Even though the two of them were in the same boat, it was not convenient for her to ask about Tang Jing's secrets. "Then we're fine now?" Mu Hongyan asked nervously. Mu Hongyan was overjoyed. "As long as your injuries are healed, we will have a chance to leave this place." The two of them had long since grown wings in their hearts, and they wished that they could immediately fly back. "Lord Envoy, the black jade bone ointment has been brought over. As long as you apply the ointment to your entire body, your injuries will be healed in a day." The elder walked in with a black jar. "I can recover in a day?" Tang Jing found it hard to believe that such a heavy injury could be healed so quickly. It was truly a miraculous elixir. The elder said confidently, "Of course, this is a secret ointment made by my witch clan. Its effects are absolutely guaranteed." "Then quickly apply it on me," Tang Jing said impatiently. The elder placed the jar beside the bed and said, "Then I ask Lord Envoy's friend to apply the ointment for Lord Envoy. However, you must take off all of Lord Envoy's clothes and apply the black jade bone ointment on your skin. You must apply it to every inch of your skin." With that, the elder brought Ayuan out of the room, leaving Tang Jing and Mu Hongyan looking at each other in dismay. "CK, how could he just leave like that? Aren't you going to help me apply the ointment?" He couldn't help but look at Mu Hongyan awkwardly. Could it be that he wanted her to apply the medicine? Then wouldn't he be stripped naked in front of her? Although Mu Hongyan had been serving him for the past few days and had seen everything that she should and shouldn't have seen, the two of them still felt awkward and ill at ease when they saw Tang Jing naked in front of her. Mu Hongyan took a deep breath. This extremely important matter had fallen on her shoulders, so she could not shirk it. Moreover, to be able to heal Tang Jing, this bit of embarrassment was nothing. Although her face was still flushed red, she took a deep breath and pretended to be calm as she said, "Tang Jing, then I'll take off your clothes now. If it hurts you, you have to endure it a little more." Tang Jing sighed inwardly. Since Mu Hongyan was not shy, then he, as a man, could not be pretentious. Thus he said, "Thank you very much." Mu Hongyan tried her best to suppress the charming thoughts in her heart as she took off Tang Jing's clothes one by one. Naturally, she had to be in close contact with every part of his body. Fortunately, Tang Jing had already adapted to it in the past few days and his body was not that sensitive. Otherwise, some of the natural reactions of his body would definitely make the two of them extremely awkward. Not long after, Tang Jing became naked. His wheat-colored skin and robust figure all revealed his masculine charm, especially his 8-pack abs and hard chest, making him not lose out to those professional models. What an alluring figure. Mu Hongyan's heart skipped a beat. Her heart couldn't help but beat faster and her cheeks became even redder. With great difficulty she suppressed the wild thoughts in her heart. Mu Hongyan opened the jar, and inside was a black ointment. A fishy smell assailed her nostrils, causing her to subconsciously cover her mouth and nose. "Why does this ointment smell so bad?" Tang Jing muttered. "Good medicine tastes bitter. Although this ointment tastes strange, I believe it will have a very good effect." Mu Hongyan resisted the nausea and used her hand to grab the black jade bone ointment. The ointment was shiny, and although the smell was bad, its appearance was not bad. It really looked like a black jade. She slowly spread the black jade bone ointment on every inch of Tang Jing's skin. Her slender jade fingers also caressed every inch of Tang Jing's skin. This caressing caused Tang Jing's skin to tremble, and he couldn't help but have a reaction. Any man who was caressed by such a beauty would definitely have a reaction. Tang Jing was a normal man. Although he tried his best to suppress it, when Mu Hongyan spread the black jade bone ointment on his little brother, it suddenly stood up like an unsheathed sword. Mu Hongyan's hands clearly trembled, and her face was so red that it seemed like water could drip out. Her pair of limpid eyes were full of allure. Her breathing quickened, and her trembling hands continued to apply the ointment. Gradually, beads of sweat appeared on her body. By the time she had spent a lot of effort to turn Tang Jing into a clay doll, her whole body was already soaked as if she had collapsed. Tang Jing's body was only left with a pair of eyes, mouth and 2 nostrils. The rest of his body was covered by the black jade bone ointment. He opened his big eyes and stared at her tired and shy appearance. He was very grateful. "I'm done. I'll be going out first." Mu Hongyan rushed out of the house as if she was escaping. The elder and I Yuan walked in again. The elder nodded in satisfaction. "Very good, Lord Envoy, you can sleep for a while. One day later, it will be the time for you to be reborn." Tang Jing glared at them fiercely. These 2 fellows must have done it on purpose, to let Mu Hongyan apply the medicine on him and embarrass him. However, the other party also had good intentions, so he couldn't criticize the other party. Thus, he closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. A day passed very quickly. This time, Tang Jing actually slept for an entire day and night. Furthermore, he did not scream in pain. He slept very peacefully, just like a baby. Mu Hongyan had been sitting by the bed watching over him, so when Tang Jing opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was her. Her face was tired and she had 2 big dark circles under her eyes. It was obvious that she had not had a good rest today. Seeing that he had woken up, Mu Hongyan was overjoyed and quickly asked, "How do you feel?" Tang Jing felt that his body was no longer in pain, and was even healthier than before. Furthermore, the true qi and true fire in his body had miraculously recovered. The black jade bone ointment was truly a divine medicine. Tang Jing felt that he had to bring this divine medicine with him when he left this place in the future. "I feel very good. My injuries are all healed." Tang Jing was overjoyed as he tried to move his muscles and bones. Pa pa pa. The black jade bone ointment seemed to crack inch by inch as it fell off Tang Jing's body, revealing his fair skin. It was completely different from the wheat color from before. In an instant, Tang Jing was naked again. His skin was like snow, just like a Xiao Bai's face. Mu Hongyan was dumbstruck. This effect was too miraculous, throwing away those expensive cosmetics who knew how many streets away. Tang Jing also raised his hand to take a look. He couldn't believe it and said with a wry smile, "How did I become white?" Mu Hongyan giggled and said, "You are still yellow, but your skin is like a newborn baby. It's white with a hint of red, and it's so delicate that it can be broken by a blow. If other women saw it, they would be so envious of you." Her eyes roamed over his body, and her face turned pink again. He was not dressed yet, so she quickly said awkwardly, "These are the clothes they sent over. I'll go out first, you can change." Tang Jing also realized the awkwardness. He quickly covered his important parts and stammered, "Okay, you go out first and wait for me." In fact, his body had already been seen completely. There was no need for this kind of superfluous action. Tang Jing tiptoed out of bed and carefully looked at his skin again. He was afraid that when he went back, Fang Shishir would find it hard to believe. This was simply like a new life. The clothes were not linen like other clothes, but were made of high-quality silk. Even in the outside world, it was considered high-end goods. Moreover, this was an ancient costume. He had never worn an ancient costume before, so it took him a lot of brain cells to wear it neatly. Other than his short hair being a bit out of place, this ancient costume gave him a feeling of being a handsome young master from ancient times. He looked himself up and down and even shamelessly spun around. Felt good. He opened the door and walked out. The sun was shining outside, but Tang Jing did not put his attention into this beautiful environment. Instead, he was shocked by the dense crowd in the square. Hundreds of people were kneeling in front of him. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.